Hello, hello. How is everybody today?
What's going on?
Just chilling. Surviving the summer heat in Canada. It's all right. We're still on fire, I guess, for a lot of British Columbia and Alberta here. ElkMan, how's Ontario? Is
I
Quebec,
know
Ontario
it's
fire?
rainy. It's rainy. It's hot. It's great.
That is great. Rain and heat, it's a good thing, except for the tornadoes, I guess, and like the baseball size hail I've seen in some places.
Yeah, we've had that hail too. We didn't get the hail this week, but the last 2 weeks we had like mass. Like I was scared of the hail.
Like, what would you even do? Like, if it legitimately is like bigger than golf ball or like actually baseball, like that's gonna go through any roof that isn't like cement. Like, I don't even know. Like, just run for where would you run to? Where would you cover?
Just hope for the best.
Run to the
Yeah,
hills.
I guess. Run for the hills, right?
lives.
How's the weather been for you, Shem? Been out much lately, or pyramid exploring?
Yeah, I just been working a lot. I mean, it's pretty chill. I heard that Hawaii's on fire too, so you guys aren't alone.
I saw that. Prayers for all of those affected and the 36 souls lost in that fire so far. So that's was an out of control tragedy. Mind you, living on volcanoes, so it does come with the territory, I guess, a little bit, but still an absolute tragedy. But there's like a place right outside Calgary where I live called High River, and it's built in a floodplain. And it floods every few years, and they're like, "Oh my God, come help us!" But it's like, well, it comes with the territory. You're living in a floodplain, and your town's called High River. If you're living on a volcano, I guess expect some fire and lava, but that's kind of being heartless. People are saying it was direct energy weapons. Maybe gonna have to talk to Dutch Sense about that.
Cloud seeding.
But there was a really bad flood. I think it was 2013 in Alberta, and I went down with a buddy just to like observe the destruction in High River. And we're just like walking on this bank that was like the river was about an inch from breaking the bank barrier and then like going over and flooding this entire trailer park. And these people are like, "Are you here to help? Can you come help sandbag?" And like we just broke out laughing. We're like, "No, we're just here to look at the idiots that live in a place called High River that was built on a floodplain." But yeah, that was a bit heartless.
Stone cold.
Start cold, right? Bring the heat, gotta bring the ice cold heart to survive in the summer heat. But now that I say that, I should probably knock on wood and not jinx my province that's on fire. Luckily, we've had some rain lately, but I guess a Soyuz is in BC, the province next to me, is about to burn down. People are getting evacuated there, left, right, and center. And I had just driven through there 10 days ago, and it was perfectly fine then. And now it's I don't know. Prayers for them, I guess. Weather warfare is definitely a possibility, especially with what's going on. If you guys haven't seen Beijing, China, it's been hit with like 1,000-year storm sort of thing, or what they call, or these atmospheric rivers, or whatever the hell it is that they call it. But these things that weren't around, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, and that it quite possibly could be weather warfare and weather manipulation. And it was like there's videos, pretty much half of Beijing, every single street is a raging torrent river.
Yeah, I saw some of those videos. It's like a couple weeks ago though, but I haven't seen any more.
Yeah, well, I guess about a week maybe I guess time flies, maybe 10 days. It's still trending on TikTok, but I guess TikTok's Chinese owned, so of course they want to show all the rescue footage, and it's good. You do see like the people come together there, and their system functioning quite well, where at least in emergencies they're able to take care and uh, save people and stuff like that as best they can. But yeah, hopefully that's not everywhere on Earth coming soon. We're in new ages, I think, and I don't buy the climate change narrative, but the climate is changing. I just don't think that it's us doing it. And yeah,
Someone said China had a 1,000-year flood only 2 years ago.
right? Yeah, like
that's the media for you.
1,000-year flood every twice a decade now. Any thoughts on it, ElkMan?
I don't know. I to be honest with you, I never heard about the flooding in Beijing until you guys talked about it now. So like that's news to me. But like I don't watch TikTok, so maybe it's only a fucking TikTok thing, and I don't watch the news, so I just don't know. So I really don't know. But like I don't know. It's fucking warm as fuck here, but it always is. So nothing's changed. Nothing's changing. Is what it is.
They definitely have patents to do it. So
yeah, exactly. That there's so many patents on it. And
like for dues and stuff like though, I do know if you're in border towns, you could like, so there's treaties with like USA and Canada where you definitely cannot have any. So anyone can look it up. There's treaties between the States and Canada that says you can't have you can't affect the weather basically in the other country. So if you live in a border town, you'll notice that they do a lot of like if you look up in the skies in border towns, you'll notice a lot of different stuff that you wouldn't normally see, and you can kind of figure out who's doing what and how they're doing it and where it's located. And it's usually like you'll just see stuff dissipate right at the border. So it's very interesting to watch that stuff. I'll try and pull up the documentation on it because it's a lot more eloquent than what I'm saying. I'm just fucking guy.
No, that's actually what you just said registered with me huge, that I've actually noticed that and observed that subconsciously a lot in southern Alberta where I am, and that it actually weather systems are seen to just dissipate into nothing literally right at the border as they get to the border, and that's very fascinating observation.
I think I found it right here.
Right, and it's like it's well known, like insurance companies. There's right where I live on the west side of my city, there's like a small private airport, and it's well known that the biggest customer out of that airport are these insurance companies hiring these little planes to do cloud seeding to break up the thunderstorms and the hailstorms specifically, and that they try to shrink the hail or get as little hail as possible on the richer side of the city, and then the ghetto or the north of the city will always get hit way harder, 10 times harder, because they don't seed it, because the insurance just not that many people are able to afford home insurance or hail weather insurance in the poor communities, sort of thing.
I'm just going to share my window here with you because it won't let me. I just want to share the link with y'all, but it won't let me. It's too long or something for YouTube or like whatever. Who the fuck knows?
Yeah, no, I'll bring it up for sure. There we go.
So, United States of America and Canada Memorandum of Understanding on Cooperation in 1979 of a High Plains Cooperative Experiment in Weather Modification, signed in Ottawa, blah, 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 blah. But it basically says that they're both aware that they are working on weather modification operations in both countries, and that it's illegal and unfair for it to cross borders. I believe this is the document I am speaking of that talks about this, but I could be mistaken.
Yeah. Well,
yeah, I'll just read the whole thing. It's only 2
like
pages. But yeah. Memorandum of Understanding between the Bureau of Reclamation of the United States of America, the Atmospheric Environment Service, and the National Research Council of Canada on Cooperation in 1979 High Plains Cooperative Experiment. The Bureau of Reclamation of the United States Department of Interior and the Atmospheric Environment Services and the National Research Council of Canada affirm their mutual desire to cooperate in the field of weather modification research consistent with the spirit and applicable provisions of the agreement between the United States of America and Canada relating to the exchange of information on weather modification activities. So if you look into this, there's a lot more details than these 2 pages, 3 pages, whatever I have here. But there's like lots of weather modification going on, and our countries are doing it. And yeah,
right, and a lot of it also in the agricultural industry. I know in like the Okanagan, British Columbia, one of the southern valleys for agriculture for growing like grapes and the peaches and the fruit trees and whatnot in Canada here, that they've invested a lot both in the summer for cloud busting to try to bust up any hailstorms and stuff like that, but also inversely to try to bring in water to prevent droughts and stuff like that, depending on the season. On like dry seasons, they try to create moisture. On overly wet, harsh seasons, they try to bust it up. And it's very south, right? So it's very close to the border. And that would be, for instance, one of the reasons officially why they would make the exact legal agreement that ElkMan just showed there. And then there's also what the other aspect?
There's the Weather Modification Information Act of Canada. So if you look up the words Weather Modification Information Act, the government of Canada has a whole act talking about all this stuff. So it's like on their website and everything. Weather Modification Information Regulation. So like you can learn how to work within the limits of it, or like whatever, man. There's so much information on it out there if you know where to look for it, and it's right on the websites. And
I've seen airplanes that put stuff out that leave a trail behind them that you cannot, when you watch them and just sit and watch them, they literally will do it. It's just a giant square, and it's like right hand turn, then another couple, like 100 kilometers or 200 kilometers, then another right hand turn, then a couple more, and then like it's a full kilometer that they'll do this. And then right in the center of it, where there was like a cloud either a little bit higher up or a little bit lower, or like clouds that were coming in, it will just clear it all, and it'll all dissipate within the area that they've sprayed those exhaust or whatever the heck it is. Just try not to use words that will trigger the algos there.
But like even like in Scientific American, there's articles like about states seeding clouds to, like the title of like the one I'm looking at right now is 8 states are seeding clouds to overcome mega drought. So like it's happening.
Oh yeah, right. Well, and that's directly like the insurance companies that have to actually file not just the patents for the technology they're using in spraying the clouds to break up the hailstorms and stuff like that, that they're officially doing, but that they also have to like claim or publish each time that they're doing it and record it all and make this information publicly, and that it's out there for all to see. And that's just the small private industry effect on, or active public effects of weather modification then there's the governments that, you know, exponentially 100 or 1,000 times more active, developed in this technology and doing it clandestinely and keeping it confidential and suppressed.
Make it rain.
But I guess we're getting a little bit off topic for the day. Well, that's how she goes. Shem, I know you gotta work very, very early, so probably can't stay for too long. Do you got anything you'd like to share or go over while we do have you, good sir?
Nothing in particular. I mean, yeah, I've just been doing research into mostly, I guess, the mystery religions, starting now with the historical figure known as Semiramis, who is more than likely the main influence of who the goddess is in many opinions. But she was basically the wife of Ninus, or some people say she was the wife of Nimrod, and she's like the first person to build fortified cities and mounds and all this crazy stuff. So, and basically, like, even the symbols you see on buildings today, like the rosettes and certain flowers, can be connected back to her. And I don't know, she's basically like responsible for creating the first star forts and everything like that, according to history. Just a very interesting character. So right now I'm just researching into the historical aspects of that, what we have, reading like Diodorus of Sicily, Herodotus, stuff like that, to see what they have to say about it. So I'm just working on that right now. Nothing really to share about it unless we start talking about random stuff that relates to that, I guess.
That will be tomorrow, if you're able to make it, with myself and Thomas at Paranoid America, going more into the occult side of things. And it's something that I really need to just start doing more of and get back into, as the adept alchemy side of the occult, esoteric, metaphysics, and hidden history of the ancient history of the mystery religions, as it really is a crucial pillar and cornerstone part of understanding alchemy, ancient alchemy, and the higher up sides of it.
Yeah, it goes back as far as recorded history goes. It's just like the initiation. The more you know, the more you commit to them, the more knowledge you get.
Exactly.
It's interesting how many connections it makes, because it connects with astrology, it connects with, like you were saying, alchemy. So just when you're reading all the stuff and you realize the connections between, it's really strange, because you don't know what exactly they're talking about or why the connections are there.
Yeah, and it's literally all encompassing. It's just nuts. And how much of astrology is actually in alchemy as well. Like, it's a crucial field of alchemy all in its own, especially with how the ancients used the different planets as metals.
Yeah, and they're also gods.
Yeah, exactly. The heavenly bodies, the gods, the demigods, and it's, at first it seems like woo-woo and just so far out there, and then after a decade and a half of experience and experiments in my own alchemy research and stuff, it's just like, oh my god, it's all probably real.
Yeah, I like the astrological, astronomical, elemental, and like chemical signs all share a lot of stuff that it is.
Other than that, I'm just looking into the weird history of Japan. Basically, I don't think that the history is true at all for it. I feel like there's something else going on there involving Christianity specifically, and maybe some of the people who left with the Nestorius split from when they headed out to the east, because I don't know, there's just so much weird connections between Japan and the rest of the world.
I absolutely agree. Right, and how they claim it was cut off for a couple hundred years there, or whatever. They were the Hermit Kingdom, supposedly, which now they call North Korea instead.
Yeah, and I don't know. They're just weird things that they try to cover up in history. Like there's this palace, I believe. I don't remember exactly where it's at, but it's in Europe somewhere where they're basically like making Asian porcelain there, and it looks like an Asian or a Japanese temple. And they give the excuse that the guy just heard stories about Japan and wanted to copy it, but it's just so weird because it has the palm trees and everything made of gold. And then another example is, it sounds stupid, but Vincent van Gogh, he out of nowhere started like drawing stuff inspired by Japan, and the characters he's drawing are just like, I don't know. It's when he has this one painting of this girl, it was like part of Japanese culture that like young girls were sexualized, which is inappropriate, but he drew a picture of it, and they're trying to say it's just like he was inspired somehow by these random Japanese paintings and he never went there. But it seemed, I don't know, I feel like there's something to that where he maybe went over there at some point, and there's just something that they're not really telling us about the connection between Japan and Europe early on. Because they do, for some reason, they admit that the Dutch East India Company went over there, but it's really hard to find information on it. I don't know. Random stuff like that.
I've heard similar things too.
And like, let me show you this picture of what these people look like real quick. These Ainu people from Japan, they don't look. They kind of look, I don't know.
Not Japanese.
Yeah, but here's one of them. This was a leader in, I guess, like the early 1900s.
Oh, wow. Is that a man or a woman? I can't even tell. Just kidding. Actually, no, I'm not. I really can't tell.
So, yeah, I'm just looking into random stuff right now. I don't really have anything to share on it. Just in the future, I might be putting out some stuff on it, I guess.
I like... just a couple notes on that. Look at, okay. That wasn't an earring. That was a curl of hair I saw. So never mind. But
yeah, on the left, it did kind of look like it would be an earring.
But the big, or what is that? It's like a white something. Is that like a string?
Could be. It could be maybe
weird.
I don't know.
Blonde curl of hair. Oh.
The hat, that looks like a Japanese face to you. Well, the other thing about these people is that their women kind of look like, you know how the Native Americans have like those clown faces or whatever. Some of the native tribes in the United States and Mexico, they would like dress up like those clowns or whatever from the other dimensions. These people do the same thing. Well, not exactly the same, but it looks pretty similar.
Really, that's fascinating as well. Like, but yeah, that does not look like a Japanese person. That looks like a Tartarian, if anything. And the fact, or Santa Claus even maybe before he went gray. But the hat elongated as well.
Yeah, it's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of got, we can't see the side of his head. It kind of has a little Semitic feel to it as well.
Yeah, 100%. And almost Masonic too in some ways. Kind of like a Shriner's vibe.
All the fez. But yeah, I mean, other than that, I could bring up a couple other things depending on what we talk about.
Yeah, bring up the map. The map. That freaking map is so freaking awesome.
Bring up the map.
It's Trudeau. I don't know. I don't think Trudeau could grow that much hair, to be honest. Oh.
Yeah, this is... Well, for some reason, they try to claim this is Java, but Java is nowhere close to this area of China or Siberia, so it doesn't make any sense that they would...
Right?
So this is more than likely Japan.
So it might have been called Java at one point. Java.
Or Java.
It's an island.
Well, they have the same... I don't know. They just have they have the same gods as the Indians, basically, like the Hindu religion for the most part. They have slightly different names, but it's almost the same exact thing. that Shinto religion is, for some reason, extremely covered up. Doesn't really make sense.
And is it like an esoteric, like a cultic religion, or is it that it was like genocided and just wiped out sort of thing? Like more like the Taoist style in China, where it's like their secret society-ish belief religion that they don't let Westerners into, sort of thing, or more like the South America where the Jesuits went in and burnt every village and killed every elder and destroyed all books and any trace of their written language, and then had the rest of the world convinced for 20 years that they didn't, or 50 years that they didn't even have a written language.
I would say that it's probably been corrupted at least twice. When the Americans won in World War II and pretty much experimented on the Japanese citizens to bring what we have in America right now, the way that they control society, they tested it out there first. And then whenever they potentially put the imperial family in power, they more than likely hijacked it back then as well to make the emperor seem like he was a god, because they used to worship the emperor as a god until after World War II. He had to make a public declaration that he was not a god.
Right? Yeah. And that up until then, it was like, I guess, how they portray Korea is now, where the supreme leader is still seen as a deity connected to demigodism, essentially, and the supreme sovereign that could exist in that land.
Yeah, I don't know how much of this stuff about North Korea is true, though, since we can't really get any real information from there. It's just mostly media propaganda.
Agreed, brother. Agreed. That's why I say what they say. It's like, who actually freaking knows? And I had a friend that traveled, vacationed in North Korea. He's gone back twice now. Has an excellent time each time, and he's a ridiculous party animal that I would thought, like, would get taken away by the police for drunk in public and like tortured and like what is it, extorted or black, or basically that they'd try to get money out of the Canadian government to get them back and stuff. But no, he said like they're all the nicest people, like shows all the videos of them traveling and like different houses, like letting them in, stay with them, cooking them food, and just great, and all drinking sake with him because of course he loves his booze as a party animal. But yeah, it's pretty fascinating to see the difference of what's portrayed and then what actually goes on.
Yeah, it's a controversial topic, obviously, but I mean, I don't understand what's so bad about living with your entire family, being in shape, having an actual future, having a career. All these things that these people in Korea have, it sounds a lot better than what we have going on in America. I'd much rather be spending time with my family and having a core set of values that actually benefit society, as opposed to what we have now, which is clearly just destroying society.
I couldn't agree more. Like how backwards the Western society and just spiritual inexistence and family structure, family value has been intentionally destroyed, degraded, and brought down to almost zero here. I think a fascinating, if anyone could actually find like the real numbers of it, but compare just the suicide rate of the average people population of North Korea even versus South Korea, because apparently in South Korea and Japan stuff, it's very, very high suicide rate. And now even in North America as well, Canada, US, very, very high suicide rate, especially in the newest generation. Just because there's no connection to their self, to spirit, to God, to family, to anything like that. And they, it's the pandemic almost of the problem over here. And, it's probably, I'm guessing suspect it's probably less over in those more family, natural style society homes. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think we can get accurate information about the numbers. I would think. I mean, the only people that you hear about coming out of North Korea, they end up being like celebrities and stuff, and they clearly are just they saw Western propaganda that made them want to leave Korea because it made it seem better. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah,
I don't know. It's never
so then
actually
they have
like
the ultimate bias against it as well, right? Like they take up the extreme narrative against what they had come from, right? So who knows what it actually be? And then of course,
could be
all
shady.
governments lie.
It's hard to tell. Hard to tell what it could actually be there, but let's just hope everyone's safe. All right, so the last thing about this Japan situation is this flag here from the 18th century, the end of the 18th century. Apparently, this was their naval flag. It has the crescent moon, and it has these two.
What? Japan?
Yeah, it has these two swords, which look like they're either like a Arabic style sword, or
Arabic.
Yeah, or they could be. Another theory I had was they could be like a strigil, I mean, which was like a tool they used in the Roman Empire to scrape oil off their bodies when they took baths. But obviously, they look a lot more like swords. But
if it wasn't red, if it was green, that would almost be like Saudi Arabia's flag today. But like the crescent moon being most likely Islamic, and those Arabian flags, like, could have been an island of Tartaria, no doubt. The one to the left there, the Chinois particle.
Yeah.
Right there, yeah. Or Chinese particular. So that was China's flag, because that today is Nova Russia, aka Donetsk, one of the separated areas of Ukraine, now part of Russia. That is their flag, the half blue, white, and then the blue and the red.
Yeah, I mean, it says that these are naval flags. I don't know if that's just because the book is called that, but it seems likely that these are just naval flags from each of these countries. So it's hard to actually find any information about this, because when you type in naval flag for Japan and put 1783 or whatever the year is for this, nothing really comes up at all.
Do you mind just going back to that one for 1 sec? Did China want?
Yeah.
There we go. That one right there. So it's almost Russia's current flag, except the light blue would have just been pure white. That's white, blue, red. It's white on the bottom. I missed that. There's the fourth color. Okay, so it's like pretty much Russia's colors and the new Russia's colors that Chinese particular was. So essentially, the Chinese Navy used to be flying what was Russia's current colors beforehand.
Yeah, almost. Stuff. I mean, what is at the top? Is that light blue at the top?
Yeah, it's like a white blue, and that's exactly what Donetsk's, like Ukraine Donetsk, that's part in the war right now. But that's their official flag, is that light blue, half blue, white, dark blue, and red. 3 lines. I didn't see the white on the bottom there, but yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, if the white was on top, that would be Russia's flag. But yeah, I mean, regardless, these flags are interesting.
Yeah, and then the double eagles.
Holy Roman Empire.
What's that? What's the SB? Ragufa?
The monk. It's probably I forget what type of monk. There's certain types of monks that wore that type of outfit specifically, but I can't remember which one it is off the top of my head.
And creepy as heck.
Yeah. Yeah, it says naval flag, see. So
that's cool.
Great Britain Royal Standard had the fleur-de-lis on it. French.
What? That's so backwards from what we're taught.
Messina. The Moors of Sardinia.
Right. And that they don't have any crescent moons, which you would think, like, is Islamic style representation. They're going for something different.
There were some moons here. If it loads. For the Turks and everything. But yeah, it looks exactly like the Japanese thing.
Yeah.
This one kind of looks like it could be a banana, though, I guess.
Algiers is 3 bananas.
No, that's the Turks.
Or that's the Turks. That's the Turks. There's Algiers. Okay. Yeah. Right? It's like could just spend literally days looking at these old flags over and over again. Probably will have by the time we're done.
But yeah.
Just such good reference material. And oh, that is the States. Okay. 13. Yeah.
Anyone else want to bring up something?
Yeah, I got something. I'll share some.
Oh yeah.
Some of the flags have different boundaries. Yeah, I guess it's hand drawn. Singham.
See, where's this map? Oh, okay. I see northern. What's now Siberia.
Well, it's also
That's pretty.
see, there's Nepal and all that good stuff. India, so it's down in the south too.
Oh wow.
This is Mongolia, Tibet. Yeah, Tibet's right here.
Tibet was within Tartaria. That's fascinating. Even as the Chinese Empire broke off and as they divided it.
Well, that's the thing. I've been trying to play this video, but every time I do, it crashes. So I'm glad you said that. Let me see if I can bring it up. Basically, in the 1940s, the last time all the Tartars met up for the religious festival once per year was filmed. And the narrator even says, like, you would think it was the time of Genghis Khan or something along those lines. But basically, it was like a German expedition that went over there during the Second World War and filmed their culture and filmed the festival where the all the tribes got together in Tibet.
That's awesome.
See if I can find the video.
But they won't let it play or it crashes each time. Let's try.
Well, it's just my computer's fault. It's not like a cover up. It's just
okay.
My computer's slow and it freezes. Yeah, it really looks bad.
Computers are such a scam. I swear it's like probably 75% of the CPU and memory is actually in RAM is actually going to like running their freaking dark net freaking backdoor algorithm freaking analysis shit. Oh, thank you, Sunset. Welcome.
So you see this area right here called Manchu.
Yep.
During World War II, the Japanese Empire restored who was called the last emperor of the Tartars to the imperial throne of Manchuria, and it was the same exact area right here. They claim as a puppet state, but if you look at like the videos of when the emperors met each other, the Japanese emperor is giving them all the respects of any real leader. All I'm saying is that it seems like it's propaganda that they're saying that it's a puppet state. I think it was obviously an ally, but they're trying to restore this because this is I think 18. What year is this? 1817. It says with a question mark.
Really?
So in 1817, you still had Tartary in that area of China, like because China still existed back then, but it was just down here to the southeast. This is China down here. So Mongolia and part of China today up to Russia's border were all Tartary back then. And here's Korea.
Amazing. Right? So it's like, was it actually a world war of like the final annihilation of all of the previous like survivors or like remaining pockets of Tartaria or of like the free world and the old world and the old society, old knowledge?
Sounds like it.
Whoops. Yeah, this is the guy right here. This is Emperor Puyi. He was the man. He ended up getting. They didn't kill him. The Communist Party didn't kill him after the war because they were. They saw what happened after the Bolsheviks killed the Emperor of Russia, and they didn't want the same results. So they basically just. He ended up like being a street Yeah, he went to the Gulag for a little bit, but then after that, he ended up being used as like a propaganda tool as they made him like a normal worker, and we're like, see, even this guy is contributing to the communism. But at least they didn't kill him. That's pretty cool.
No doubt. You know, it's fascinating that all that's left in modern memory or like Western teaching thought of this is Manchurian Candidate, right? But it's like, or was Manchuria the actual, rightful place and name of most of Eastern Asia at one point under Tartaria, possibly?
Yeah, it's like, well, they also just apply whatever names they want to the society. So, you know what I mean? So Manchurian probably wasn't even necessarily the name of that anyone there used. Excuse me. But yeah. ElkMan, did you find your stuff?
Oh, yeah. You've been waiting. Kaboom!
So this is just another little blip from a book called American Antiquities and Discoveries in the West, but I'm just going to jump in and read a few paragraphs from it. And get to the point.
Sorry, I just quickly got to run to the bathroom while I do this, but I will be listening and I'll be right back.
Okay, I'll be yammering on anyways. So it's a course of the 10 lost tribes of Israel. There's a strong resemblance between northern and independent Tartar and the tribes of Northern American Indians, but not of Southern American. Besides this reason, there are others for believing our Aborigines of North America were descended from ancient Scythians and came to this country from the eastern part of Asia. This view by no means invalidates the opinion that many tribes of the Indians of North America are descendants of the Israelites, because the Scythians, under the particular name, existed long before that branch of descendants of the family of Shem, called Israelites, who, after they had carried away by Shalmaneser, the Assyrian king, about 700 years BC, went northward and stated by Esdras, see his second book, 13th chapter, from verse 40 to verse 45 inclusive. I tried to find it, but I couldn't. Though a part of independent Tartary during this journey, which carried them among the Tartars, now so-called, but were anciently the Scythians, and probably became amalgamated with them. This was more easily effected on the account of the agreement of complexion and common origin. If this may be supposed, we perceive at once how the North American Indians are in possession of both Scythian and Jewish practices. it goes on talking about their Scythian customs are follows, scalping their prisoners, torturing them to death. Some of the Indian nations also resemble the Tartars in the construction of their canoes, implements of war, and of the chase, with the well-known habit of marching in Indian file and their treatment of the aged. These are Scythian customs. Their Jewish customs are too many to be enumerated in this work. For a particular account, see Smith's view of the Hebrews. If our Indians have evidently the manners of both Scythians and the Jew, it proves to have been anciently both Israelites and Scythians, the latter being the more ancient name of the nation now called Tartars. And this is the little like key part that I think is important of what I'm saying here. Like, I'm sure y'all have heard what I've said before in one way or another, but like the latter being the more ancient name of the nations now called the Tartars. And then if you look at that star down here, it says the appellation of Tartar was not known until the year 1227, who were at the time considered a new race of barbarians. So that's interesting. With whom the 10 tribes, so the Tartars with whom the 10 tribes may have amalgamated. That the Israelites called the 10 tribes who were carried away from Judea by Salmasar to the land of Syria went from that country in a northerly direction, as quoted by Esdras. Above is evident from the map of Asia. Look at this again, and we shall perceive they entered by the narrow passage or heads of that river, which runs from the north into the Persian Gulf. That's all I really wanted to share with that, because I know we've been talking about how like there was the Tartar trade routes in America and Canada, all through down to Mexico and Southern America. And I just thought this was interesting because it kind of ties it all together and brings a little bit more. But I'm more interested in what was significant in the year 1227 and why the Tartars were a new race of barbarians at that time. I couldn't find the reference, but it's definitely interesting. I have something else to share too, but I can't because I'll lose it.
Well, the reason 1227 is kind of significant is because that's when. Did you want to talk about? Did you want to talk about? I don't know who was talking. Genghis Khan. Basically, the whole thing with Genghis Khan happened around that time period you're talking about, ElkMan. Okay. The formation of the Mongolian Empire and them bringing back together all the Tartar tribes, because before they were called the Xiongnu, and they're also called the Huns and the Proto-Huns. So it just kind of changed titles over time. But in 1227, I think that was the year that Genghis Khan actually died, and then the empire just kept expanding. So that's probably why they came up with this new name for them to just give them under one umbrella. Since there was a thought of them invading Europe and all that good stuff, and also connections being made between the East and the West. Like with the Mongols were constantly reaching out to the Western nations and specifically the Pope. But 227? I don't know what that means. Anything else to share first? ElkMan, I just brought this up. I got
one more thing to sorry.
Yeah, sure. If you want to bring it up quick, and then I can put it up, and then sorry, still got to run to the bathroom quick.
I don't know what you mean by 227.
Instead of 1227, it means year 227.
Oh, because of the whole IJ thing. Well, okay. So he did bring up yours.
So yeah, this is just a book I want to share with people. It's pretty cool. In well, I shouldn't say in all of Canada, but as far as I know, in Canada, there's not very many recognized mounds, like burial mounds or whatever, as much as there is in the States. Shem shared that Ohio book, and like everything just doesn't stop at the imaginary border. But this is good. This is good. A good place to start, like to how to find like if you're in Ontario, there is a ton of this stuff, and this book is pretty cool. It's called Mounds of Sacred Earth: The Burial Mounds of Ontario. You can find it here, but they kind of deny that there is anything here still, but they have presented it to us in the past that it was here. But now they're kind of like pretending that they didn't bring us this information themselves. But there's, in Southern Ontario, we got Quint Mounds, Serpent Mound, like we got all these. So I just wanted to let my fellow Ontario people know that there's stuff around, there's lots around, and this book is pretty cool place to start with it. I don't have anything in particular I want to talk about this book or anything. I just really am envious of that Ohio Earthworks book, and it has so many mounds and everything. And I get frustrated that they only admit that there's a few here in Ontario, but there's reasons for that.
Unfortunately, most of the Ohio ones.
Pardon?
Said unfortunately, most of the Ohio ones are gone. At least the past like 10 to 15 that I've looked into or gone to have been gone.
Yeah, and then like what I noticed too is like I went to the Southwold Earthworks not too long ago, and so the layout of that mound, or that earthwork, I guess it's not a mound, but the layout of that earthwork is the exact same as the Danes ones, like the Danes and the Norths ones, and like the burial mounds we find in our Ontario. The excavation of them aligns, in my eyes, more with like Viking stuff than Native Canadian stuff, but it's all one and the same eventually, and these people inhabit the same places and locations. But if you look at the earthworks of the Danes, it's exactly how that Southwold earthworks is aligned, and it's basically like the exact same thing. But yeah, this is a cool book and a good place to start looking at stuff in Ontario, because there is stuff here.
I mean, pretty much all the earthworks seem to be connected. The mounds seems to be a worldwide culture.
Yeah, and I believe like the pipeline and everything, and like all the fort. Oh, I got another map. I believe the pipeline and like a lot of the original forts have been repurposed and were something different before too. But yeah.
Is the sleeping giant on Superior a mound?
Sleeping giant on Superior.
I don't know what that is. I know Lake Superior, but I've never heard of the sleeping giant. I'm looking it up.
Me neither. I've heard of the giant's tomb. I don't think that's on Superior.
At first glance, it doesn't seem to be a mound to me.
Oh no, that's a weird place though. I've done research in this area. This is, I think that's sleeping. Is that where they believe that all the copper in the world came from, or something like that? Is this like all the old Roman copper and shit was mined from right where we're looking at, near the sleeping giant? I could be mistaken, but I think the sleeping giant is a crazy place, and I could be mistaken, but I believe this is where like all the old Roman copper was mined from. When they say it was mined from somewhere else, I think it was here. I could be mistaken. Maybe someone in the chat can help me out. Yep, Thunder Bay. Yeah, the Star Forts were detention centers at one point. Like, there is proof of this. They had people go there. I think it was in between World War I and World War II at some point. And like even the one in Thunder Bay, that was like a prisoner of war camp as well. I've had family members who were in there, so like that is a fact. Like, not all Star Forts, but a lot of them were prisoner of war camps and repurposed stuff for hunting.
So what do you think the tunnels were?
I don't know. Like I know like so like when I first got into this research, a lot of my like thing was like I think that like the pipeline, like the oil pipeline, they all connect. Like, so if you look at where so all the oil companies are within kilometers of Indian reserves and star forts everywhere throughout Canada. They're all together. They're all attached. The pipeline runs right through everything. So I don't know, but I believe, I don't know. I don't know what it was. Maybe a water power system. So like water would flow through a tunnel, or maybe it was like a transportation system. There's definitely 100% old Indian railways in Ontario, like in Brantford and stuff. And they're still there. They're still there. Like there's still big like columns in the middle of like fields and stuff for where there used to be bridges from them and stuff. But like, I don't know. To answer your question specifically, I think somehow it was like a transportation system, or maybe like a water system, or I'm not really sure. Maybe a way to do water power or to connect people one way or another.
I thought about the water system thing before too. I think it might have been used for water, but my theory is it's really ridiculous, honestly.
And I've looked up like, so if you use the word electricity, you won't ever find anything. But if you look up the words water power, and then like Niagara Falls, before it was what it was now, it was Chippewa Power Supply, and it was that for many years before it was taken over. So if you search without the word electricity and you look for water power, you might have better results. But this is like this is like a hard one to research because it deals with a lot of like sensitive topics like oil and Indians and military bases and all this shit. So like it's just not one that's easily researched. So right off the bat, you know that there's more to the story. But I haven't been able to crack the code. I do know someone did a video touching on kind of what I'm saying. I have done a lot of research on it in the past, but I was just drawn elsewhere because it was easier to branch off of this rather than to research this directly.
Who hid all this stuff from us?
No one hid it. They didn't hide it. They just made everything work off of oil, so that they could charge you for it.
The Mormons hid all this stuff, but if you ask nicely, they'll show you.
Yeah, there's a lot of interesting Mormon stuff.
I would say that, well, never mind, I won't say that. Well, can you bring back up that American Antiquities book? If you don't close the screen and you push share this tab instead, then Bernie doesn't have to click it for you.
And I'm back.
So, okay, never mind. You can just share.
I was listening to what you were saying there for a bit. I personally agree to expand on the water aspect and the tunnels of the star forts and the infrastructure of them and oil companies now. I suspect that the oil companies probably maybe, and the pipeline specifically, it would be easier for them to use the already existing tunnels and infrastructure of the Starfort system that was there, the aquifer systems that were there, and tap into it, either building their pipeline in it or next to it so they have access to it. If you have a tunnel, a fully built tunnel already there, and then you put the pipeline in it, it's like, well, boom, it saved half or 3/4 of your building costs. Or if there's already water going through it, a lot of the oil extraction, they need the fresh water constantly coming. So then it's like a source for them.
But two, if they already, so like if people, like, let's just say, like, I just want to say one thing on what you just said. So if, let's say, water was running through those tunnels at a massive rate and people were using it as like water power systems, it's just a super easy way to like take over what's already there, stop it, put oil through pipes instead that people have to pay for. And the infrastructure is already there, exactly like you're saying, except they're taking something that's natural and converting it to something, well, it is natural, but like not.
They're distorting it or inverting it into negative, and a control system that used to be a liberating free system of abundance. And it's exactly that. And another part of my research into the star forts and like especially the batteries, and then it seems that there was an aquifer, and there's a lot of cases told of these ancient places that they used to have a spring fountain right in the center at the very top that would go off several times a day, and then the water would come out. And it makes perfect sense that then that's a cascading flow down system that is watering and providing both water as well as analog physical kinetic power. And that there's so many images and documentation too of the water wheel, and that they had water wheels absolutely everywhere, that everything was using water power, physical power, a lot more. And then that's how they powered the lower class, but an industrial lower class. And then the wizards and the gods and the divine, or the magicians, well, they were the ones that tapped electricity and had the power of God within them and within their technology. And that a higher part of it was also the plasma into this alchemy and into the metaphysical spiritual alchemy side of it, and the wizardry, the sorcery, the witchery, and all of it. But that when you break it down in this nanotechnology of electrolysis and monoatomics, cold fusion and plasma, and nano-sized particles that are this lowest base dimension of resonant frequency physics, and that monoatomics are that the block or the starting matter of these quantum nano technology and universe and realm. And that now with what a 3D printer is it's printing from the nano size in absolute control and dimension of what you're making out of literal nano material structure of nothing. And that with this computing and essentially quantum computing and replication and possibilities, and now what they're doing with CRISPR technology and gene editing and messing with mRNA and RNA and amino acids, and that what it seems in the electrolysis, like what's going on between Bert and Ernie here, and then when I put the blood in, and then it starts reproducing on the cathode side, replicating my nano base resonant structure material, and then combining it with the straight base gold and silver, copper and zinc atoms. I'm not gone a little bit off topic on here, but it is essentially the exact same thing that you're reading in these alchemical texts and wizards and witches spells and brews and potions and different practices and medicines, as well as witchery and different things that it goes into, but that there's actually now this higher base understanding and technology of nanotechnology, and that it all can make sense and actually be explained, and that there's a very good possibility that a lot of the legends and stories, there's a lot more truth to it, and that there's been a hidden higher world of, infinite possibility. Wow, going off topic. Got a little stoned. Point being, we're gonna have to do some Adept Alchemy series episodes together on this as well, probably starting tomorrow with Thomas, the Paranoid American, and use his great AI artwork in coming up with that. Sorry, getting distracted. Lost my train of thought. Alchemy, Thomas, tomorrow. That's going to be a good episode. The spells, the geometry, the sacred geometry, and the dimensional physics of it, and tying it all back into 3D printing. And that also we're going to be putting together finally with Simon C. a series on 3D printing that, well, if you don't know about 3D printing, you can literally make anything out of anything by just getting a file and printing it off. So
people are printing 3D buildings now already.
Exactly. And that's actually going to be a 3-year goal, is to get to making 3D buildings with geopolymer, because when you can start printing these crystal matrices and materials and the geopolymer style that we're finding in the ancient megaliths, and tying back into nanotechnology and alchemy, that you can connect biology as well as superconductivity and these different crazy effects like quantum locking, which is essentially anti-gravity and free energy and infinite existence possibilities that would explain all these ancient legends of the past as actual higher technology, and start replicating it and using it ourselves. We're right on the tip. We're right on the tip. And I'm end my rant and let you guys take that apart.
Yeah, you covered a ton of topics on there. I was with you at the beginning, but it is what it is. I don't know. Did you want to bring back up this screen?
There we go. Sorry.
Okay, so this is from the same book that ElkMan was sharing earlier. He was talking about examples of the Tartars coming over to America. So this talks about how the Mongol Tartars had settlements on the western coast of America. Basically, just talks about how they found like a cross in a certain location, and that it's possible that the Nestorian Christians, which were like a type of Christianity that was spread throughout China, Asia, India, and the southern Asian islands, were likely the ones who came to America. There's another source I found that talks about how the first Inca of Peru was more than likely also, I guess, a descendant of Kublai Khan. So it was the book where the Mongols coming to Peru. I'll bring it up real quick, but I don't know. It just says right here that the trying to find here it is. Chinese vessels and supposed to have been commanded by these Nestorian Christians, as officers being more trustworthy and more expert in warlike maneuvers than the Mongol natives. This expedition by some means found their way from the Japan Islands, which are west of North America's in north latitude 35 degrees, to the coast of America in the same latitude. So it talks about how they probably landed in something they call Kulkan, which I guess could be Culiacan. Yeah, it says right here. Landed at a place, Mexican language called Kulkan, the opposite of New California. So that kind of lines up because Culiacan is opposite of Baja California. It's weird how they call it New California right there. I'll show you Culiacan on a map real quick. So as you can see, there's Baja California right there, and here's Culiacan around the coast. But it does say Kulkan in here. Okay. What was the other thing? It says there remains not a doubt but that the Mongol Tartars found their way from China to the west of America in shipping. The voyage is not so great as to render it impossible, as that a French vessel in the year 1721 sailed from China and arrived at a place called Val de Nandras on the coast in 50 days. This part's really interesting. The Phoenician letters were known among the Mongol nations. If, therefore, they found their way to South America, we at once account for the Phoenician characters found in caverns and cut in the rocks of that country. So on other streams, I've brought up how the Phoenician language connects with the Mongol language, also the Japanese language, Korean, Tungusic, and what was the other one? I forget. The Turkic language. So this is even more evidence for that given, because they're saying that the Mongols knew the Phoenician language and that they're attributing the Phoenician characters found on rocks in America to these Mongols, which is also interesting because it does mean that there was likely a lingua franca back then among all these people, so where they could understand each other, or at least the educated people could all speak the same language and understand each other, the leaders.
Yes, and yes. There's this higher dimensional phonetic language and pictographic symbol language. I like probably 3 or 4, I believe, of these root original ones, and they almost seem like off-world or godly or alien, essentially, or maybe a mixture of 3 or AI, or who knows. But sorry for interrupting. Please continue.
You're good. So this part's also really interesting. It says a description of what is supposed to be a Chinese Mongol town to the west in latitude 39 and longitude 87, called by themselves when first visited by Spaniards, Tolameco, is exceedingly curious. It is situated on the bank of the river running into the Pacific from the territory now called Oregon. So Sarah, and I think you earlier were talking about how there's Mongolian shipwrecks and skeletons in Oregon. Excuse me. Here's another interesting thing. Only 4 degrees south of Lake Erie, and in longitude 87, or exactly west of Ohio, in latitude 39, it is well built and contains 500 houses, which some are large and show well at a distance. So basically, they're talking about another town close to Ohio by Lake Erie. That's a tribute to the Mongolians, and this book is from 1833.
What? Can you repeat that last part, please? From where attributing to them? Which town attributed to the Mongolians?
It's called Ptolemaco, and well, that one's the one in the Pacific. The one in Ohio they don't give a name for it.
Wasn't it Marietta?
We are speculating that it could have been Marietta, but it's hard to tell what it is. But yeah, it says it's longitude 87, or exactly west of Ohio, and latitude 39 by Lake Erie, west of Ohio. So if it's west of Ohio, it more than likely can't be Marietta, just because Marietta is on the east side of Ohio. So if anything, it could be something like Indianapolis. I mean, we know that Indianapolis is pretty crazy, or it could be that Cairo, Illinois place, because the way the water's set up there, you could easily access multiple different lakes and waterways. Who knows? But yeah, apparently it was a massive city. Let me bring up that Peru book real quick and show you where it says that the first Inca of Peru was likely a descendant of one of the Khans. 1 second. But yeah, I mean, for some reason there's a lot of people in the 1700s, 1800s, early 1900s were saying that the Mongols or the Tartars, they call them multiple things, came over to America, and they claim a lot of the Native American tribes are descendants of people that came over from or came down from Alaska, crossing over the what is it, the Bering Strait to get here.
Yeah.
Okay, so here we go. Got this book pulled up real quick. Yeah, I think even history gives the descendants of a lot of Native American tribes from coming down from Alaska. So if they're willing to say that, like, I don't understand what the big problem is with some of this other stuff.
And the fact that like the genetic testing and mapping now is actually each time they publish something new, they instantly like try to like retract it or hide it because it just destroys their old official narrative. And it's so undeniable and stupid now that they keep trying to keep this facade going. And anyways,
so it says here, the opinion of the writer of this book is the Mango Capac, the first Inca of Peru, was a son of the Grand Khan Kublai, and that Montezuma's ancestor was a Mongol grandee from Tangut, very possibly Assam. So I guess what they're saying is that they sent over some of their sons to Americas, and when they got here, they kind of like introduced these people to certain technologies, because keep in mind, if we talk about what was going on under Mongol rule, they were the ones who built Moscow. They're the ones who basically made Moscow what it is today. They were the ones that made Beijing what it is today.
Plus the Star City builders and the canal builders.
Yeah, they had canals, they had irrigation systems, they had taxes, they had paper money, they had printed books, they had astrologers that knew every single thing about the sky, they had complex systems of alarming each other of certain situations, they had a curfew system in place. They just had so much stuff that we, for some reason, are not made aware of, and they make them seem like they were just these primitive barbarians, which, I mean, even in World War I, they were calling the German people barbarians, so we know how loosely they throw around the term, because they clearly weren't fucking barbarians. They were a civilized society with massive cities. It doesn't even make any sense.
That all of the rest of the cities were also based on the same design of that time, yet not told about that either, to the point that the famous Wall Street of New York was a freaking Star Fort wall, the exact same type of Star Fort wall that goes all across from the Black Sea, the Azov Sea in Ukraine, and on the contact line of the current war, all the way across eastern Ukraine, connecting into Russia, and then all the way northeast across all of Siberia, then connecting to the Russian Arctic and what was used to be called the Sea of Tartaria, or Sea of Tartar. It's crazy.
The Strait of Tartar. It's an interesting area because you have that island that's owned by Russia today, but it mostly has like an Asian, Japanese type people, and the Ainu also own the island. I'm trying to find this quote about how the Tartars were.
If you look at modern day Russia today, though, it's actually it's absolutely huge for one, and both land size and population. What makes up lost the word. Anyways, that they are a lot of Asian, Inuit, as well as Islam, Arabic, Turkic, and then also Caucasian people that they pretty much have, you know, half of the human demographic of species of people within their native territorial or in native what's the word, domestic land or indigenous lands. There we go. Of, you know, Moscow being the Slavic people, the Dagestan, Chechnya area being the like, I think they're Shia. No, they might be Sunni, but what's the name of the people? I do know it's, my apologies. Anyways, the Islamic population there, and then in the, I guess through Siberia, but the Arctic, the North Arctic there, and the ocean there, it's like the Inuit style people, just like that are in the Canadian Northwest Territories, Yukon, and Nunavut lands, and then and U.S. Alaska and the coast there, which, like you were saying, Shem, they look pretty almost like Japanese people characteristics in the Inuit and Western Island native populations of BC there and Alaska, and that officially they say that's where they came over the land bridge, and how all of North America and South America was populated, even though there's like 4 or 5 layers of different indigenous peoples about every 10,000 years that they find, and like that they've found different human, I guess, Homo sapien or Homo erectus, which is supposed to be Homo sapien. Anyways, point being that there's human tribe carcasses and leftovers along with the megafauna of North America and South America, with like the saber-toothed tiger, the mastodons, the mammoths, stuff like that, where originally they tried to claim that, oh, humans only were in North and South America 10,000 years ago from the land bridge, and before that there was just a giant glacier ice sheet that covered all of the northern hemisphere, including all of North America, past Canada down, I think, Montana or Colorado. It went as far as, or some stupid shit maybe, and then Utah was like an inland sea or something they try to claim. So thus there could have been no life and no humans in living in, or civilized, or ruins of humans in where I live in Canada, but like Alaska, or pretty much half of Canada and the Western US, yet we are finding all sorts of megalithic ruins there now and stuff.
Yeah, they found a lot of ruins and artifacts and engravings that tie back to Greek, Roman cultures, Phoenician cultures. And like we were saying earlier, the religious practices of the natives are very similar to the Semitic peoples, and even what they claim to be the native peoples or the indigenous peoples of the lands of Asia and Siberia, and even in Ireland and all these other places too. They were all building mounds. But
and not just the mounds. Well, yeah, so it's mounds in like the lower areas or something, and then the pristine sites are all crazy ass ancient pyramids in the tropics, I guess. Subtropics and down.
It was interesting because in Diodorus of Sicily's book, he's saying that when Semiramis started building a lot of these cities, they would always build mounds first. Like even in Egypt, for some reason, that book says that all the pyramids in Egypt and all the cities in Egypt are built on giant mounds that were man-made, and I guess the sand's now covering them up. Like, it was, like, when I was reading it, it was just blowing my mind. I'm still wrapping my head around it, because it's just trying to understand exactly what they mean by that.
It sounds like in Egypt, and like the story of is it Herodotus and the underground what's the word that they call
labyrinth?
it? Labyrinth. There we go. Yeah. And how big it is supposed to be.
Yeah, like they claim it still exists to this day, and I guess according to a lot of times the historians. But
yeah, it's flooded now. Right by was it the Naswar pyramid or something like that? No, then they put the Naswar Dam there, and yeah, wow.
Well, another weird thing about that is that people like Herodotus and Diodotus of Sicily, during their time when they're writing these books, it was common knowledge to them to say that Egypt was flooded like once per year. So places like the Sphinx and the pyramids were covered in water. And you have people like,
and that's why they weren't dug out either. They could be accessed by through the tunnels from the unflooded river in the dry season, and then for half the year when the rainy season, when it flooded, you know, there was filled with water, but that's why they couldn't. It was just sand dunes, right? Like the pictures from the early 1800s, not even the Sphinx is dug out yet, or the Giza pyramids even in full.
Yeah, they're saying something about how, you're saying something about how the Nile River was bringing sand down there, since it flows, I guess, from south to north. What's going on, Nance? But
well, shout out to Jimmy at Brighter Insight, and all the work he's done on the Sahara and the Eye of the Sahara, aka what looks like Atlantis, and he claims to be the city of Atlantis, and then shows on some of the ancient maps that it was called Atlantis in Herodotus is in the ancient Greek days, and that what it actually looks like on Google Earth, and what the Sahara looks like, and what I'm starting to suspect, and what Jimmy puts forward and whatnot, was that there was this great flood, or what more likely it was this tsunami, and what the Younger Dryas catastrophe event that Graham Hancock has put forward with Randall Carlson, and that there was some asteroids that hit and melted the ice sheet at 12,000 years ago, and instead of the ocean rising over 400 years to 400 feet, it rose 400 feet in about 3 years. They've got it down to now or something, but most likely it was just a single event, and that one of these chunks of this asteroid would have also hit the ocean or just caused a giant tsunami. And that's why where the inner portions of these lower lands, like the Sahara from the Mediterranean there and the mouth of the Nile, all the way out to the Atlantic there, through the Sahara, the Sahara, and what's the other country that comes out at? Maybe Mali, goes through Mali. But anyways, that it was like a giant wave, ocean wave or tsunami that probably came in and flooded and wiped it out. And then also Australia with Campbell, we've looked at it many times, and it looks, the old maps show this inland sea in Australia and more lushness. And then you see now these dunes, rolling dunes, and these layered salt deposits that looked like it could have only been made by a giant amount of water going through tsunami. And that's probably also what's happened in like the Utah salt lakes and all of that areas. And that about 12,000 years ago, the end of Atlantis would have been some giant ass tsunami happening, hitting event, and that the leftover salt water from the ocean, because we have all these maps and they say 6,000, 10,000 years ago, there was rivers, there was jungles everywhere, it was lush everywhere in all these areas. Oh, sorry, also in China there, the Chinese desert areas and where Tartaria, I guess, was and is now wiped out through Siberia there and whatnot, potentially would be the same sort of scenario of this. And who knows what the actual age, whether it was 10,000, 12,000, or if it was only 1,000 years or 6,000 years. But I myself personally believe if it's whatever the half precession cycle is of the equinox and the wobble sort of thing. But point being, there was this massive tsunami bringing the ocean water, flooding all of these once lush lowlands where there was jungle life and inhabitants, and on the old maps showing giant castles, cities, and human living. That once the ocean saltwater came, that left the land bleached and poisoned with salt, which kills plants. They need the fresh water, and that's why it has turned to deserts. That's why in the lowest areas of these deserts you find these dried out salt pits, and that maybe the giant sand dunes were in fact made by rolling waves and getting the sand getting caught on big buildings, big pyramids, big structures, or whatever the heck that were there as it went. And has, that's why there's most likely was a giant metropolitan across Egypt there and the lowlands, as they all talk about.
Yeah, there seems to just be a lot of missing history when it comes to Egypt. But yeah.
Sorry to take it off of left field for the 85th time tonight.
That's all good.
Going on the Grand Khan, and so what they call the junkers, but they're actually pretty dope ass like sailing ships that are easily made by the Asiatics, the Chinese, the Japanese. A couple hundred years ago, well, they still make them, use them today, or at least the fisher people do in those areas, but that they found a bunch of them that they were dated to like 400 or 500 years ago off the Washington and Oregon coasts. There's been a couple articles and finds over the years. We were talking about that earlier, but that would make perfect sense of why there's these reports of the Tartarian portion of Tartarian population being in North America prior to this Columbus time. And sorry, I'm gonna shut up and let you get connected back to what you're going over, Shannon.
Let's see here. Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember what point I was trying to make because I was listening to what you're saying. Kind of forgot, but it's frozen, of course, too. Oh yeah, I was basically just going to show how they say that they got here after the expedition to Japan, and when they tried to invade Japan, basically, I guess there was a storm that blew them over to Peru, according to this book. Which I don't know. It kind of just sounds ridiculous. Well, it's completely frozen. There we go. It says right here, Japan was invaded, and from the effects of a storm, Peru and Mexico were fated to arise from the generals and troops who escaped from that mighty expedition. So the accounts I know about this is that one of the ships went back to Tartary after the failed invasion, and the other one shipwrecked on an island. And then when the Japanese came to the island to, I guess, kill them, they hid in the Mongols hid in the mountains, and then when the Japanese went after them, they ran down and took their ships, then sailed over to southern Japan, I think like the Ryukyus, and they took the people's wives and families and basically just integrated with society. So I don't know how that fits into the whole idea that those same people came to Peru and Mexico. Maybe they just...
Oh, what time frame was that at, or said to be?
This is the end of the 1200s.
End of the 1200s, so 800 years ago. I just find that part fascinating in correlation to Brian Forster's research on the elongated skull folk and showing how they had left actually up from the Azov Sea out of the Black Sea there, so the Crimean area, and then had ended up in Nazca, Peru area and settling and living for a few hundred years before then being massacred again.
It's really interesting. I don't think I've heard about that before.
Yeah, it was like they were like the king, so they were the gods and the rulers up till a certain point, and then they were hunted and I guess massacred and overthrown and killed throughout Asia, Europe, and Africa at one point. And from the DNA or the dating on the Caracas skulls that Brian Forster's been working on for 10 or 15 years now, and actually got some carbon dating done showing that they were 2,000 to 2,500 years old, and that they then lived there for about 500 or 300 to 500 years or something, and there were several generations of them, and then showing of how like they started mixing with the local population, and then their cranial sizes started falling, and then all of a sudden they were just all massacred and disappeared. And there was like some, I guess they found some sort of document telling the story of them being someone else coming from afar and hunting them and killing them or something. And yeah, so just fascinating how it ties into then also those elongated skulls that have been found throughout Malta, throughout Crimea, as well as Africa and other places of the world. And they try to date them to 2,000-3,000 years ago and not really older.
Well, you said that Ianu person looked like they had an elongated skull earlier, so maybe there is something to that. But
absolutely,
yeah. Basically, this just continues to talk about how they came over here and changed them from having savage lives and gave them their laws. Basically describes the people that came over as being the children of the sun and the moon, which is interesting because that ties back to the whole mystery religion. I need to close some tabs because this is just not loading. So here's some depictions of what they supposedly look like.
Okay. Oh, sorry. Do you mind going back to them for a second? It's like, are they? I wonder if was it like a Caucasian artist that drew them and thus gave them more Caucasian features, or was it that's what they actually looked like? Because it looks like a French sort of person mixed with an indigenous or like Iroquois sort of, in my opinion, what we're seeing here. I have no idea.
I don't think they look too European, honestly. but they do. I guess I don't know.
Very true. Very. Sorry, I was saying mixed. Sorry.
Yeah,
And
they look. I wonder what those symbols on their heads are though. But I would just love to zoom in on that more. I can't. What was that name of that thing? That thing's called like a Vajra or something. See what he's holding right here? It kind of looks like the Vajra or whatever that device is that for creating lightning in the Hindu religions, and even Zeus
I
has
noticed
it.
that. I did notice that. It's very sus, and that it's more of like a microphone shape than an axe shape. A little bit, it seems too, maybe.
See how high definition is.
Or a spiral, I should say.
Fleur-de-lis.
Yeah. Back scratcher. Back scratcher.
I'm trying to see if we can see these coat of arms any better, because I thought I saw this guy right here on the right. I thought that was the eagle or the phoenix, but I can't tell. It definitely isn't when you zoom in.
Either way, look at the royal-esque essence of this individual and indigenous individual's attire. Like, that's high-end embroidered materials, crown, jewelry. Like,
can you see my mouse?
Yeah, like that lion. Look at that's almost Phoenician, isn't it? Or
it's like Greek, almost like a mixture, Persian Greek. This is like some proto Star of David right here. As above, so below. Star of David type thing.
Fascinating.
Male, female.
For some reason, that reminds me of Solomon's temple, but I don't know why. I don't know. It's the pyramid within the walls of the walls.
Let's see if we can bring up that weapon real quick and compare it. Vajra. Electric weapon. Yeah, I guess it doesn't look exactly the same. I saw a picture of Zeus holding it that reminded me of it.
This is some high-end physics right there. Like, I swear, those... You just need to connect like 1,000,000 volts to it and see what happens. And it'll probably open up a freaking portal, or at least give you ball lightning.
Why is there only like 6 images of it? I thought this was like a pretty popular thing.
You are not allowed to see the demigod's weapons. Ha ha.
Some of them have 3 prongs.
Oh, look at the Greek one there. I see what you're saying.
Weird head. We can't find more of them. I know there's an old statue of Zeus that has one. Let's see if I can find that real quick.
Them be some high-end weaponry.
Another weird thing is how in the books like Herodotus and Diodorus and Josephus, like all these different cultures, when they talk about any of them, even when they call them barbarians or anything else, they still refer to them as worshiping Zeus and all these other gods, because it's basically saying that all these people have the same, because they all have the same religion, but they just have different names for the deity, like in their language.
The same religions as them, but we're going to call them subhuman.
Yeah, the whole barbarian thing just doesn't, I don't know, it just doesn't make any sense.
Barbarian, Tartarian,
statue,
Mongolian, Mongol, Tartarian.
I remember seeing one where it looked like they took it out of his hand too. Just like a hole in his hand where it's supposed to be. But yeah, I can't find it. Oh well. Can't want them
That's
all.
cool as that, though.
So this is the United States in 1870. For some reason, even though they list Missouri in this book, they don't show the western part of the United States. I don't understand why. But what's interesting about this map, too, is it has Chicago listed right here under the name of Chicago. But if you look up Chicago, it says it wasn't until 1837 or something like that, or 1840. Or
Here we have books and maps printed with the names of all these different cities years before they were ever supposedly founded or existed.
well,
What
in
does
this case,
founded mean? It was found by the crown and claimed?
well, in this case, they do say that this was inhabited by people, but it just wasn't a part of Illinois or the United States until 1837. Another interesting thing about this is that when you go to Ohio, there's no Columbus back in 1817 either, but you can see right here it says Franklinton. That's basically the old Columbus. There's a Civil War grave, like a cemetery there. It's pretty interesting, and it was flooded, so that's why they built Columbus. It's weird because Marietta's on here too. Yeah. Missing a lot of the big cities, and I might be blind, but I don't know anything about Indianapolis history, but I don't see Indianapolis in Indiana either. Maybe they changed the name or something. Not sure. Really weird. But yeah. Pretty much all I got for that stuff. Good look at this.
I appreciate the share.
Good look at this picture of Kublai Khan real quick, where he looks European.
He looks like a wizard. A wizard prince.
Yeah, this one I'm about to show right now is from 1685. The Emperor of Tartary, the Grand Khan, Kublai.
The Grand Khan. Look at that electrical device. He's a wizard. Where's his carpet that he flies on?
The same owl that's seen in those flags that we were looking at earlier that showed Tartary. I know we didn't specifically bring them up, but they were next to the Japanese flag earlier. Casual green man on this flower pot. Go back to this one real quick. There's the owl again. I've seen a translated version of this, but I never saved it.
And
probably should.
It's like, why is the owl now like the symbol of all these like Illuminati weirdo places, like that one club in California or whatever the frick it is?
Seems like
One argument for that is because the owl represents knowledge, and the whole mystery religion is related to knowledge. So people speculate that these organizations practice that religion that worships knowledge through initiation. Ties back to the whole story of the Garden of Eden, where basically the first sin of humans was to gain knowledge, to become closer to God, or to be like God. So the owl apparently represents knowledge, so it's just another symbol for this secret society, allegedly.
The owl, the ultimate predator and night killer, knowledge.
What do you think about the eggplant earrings?
Man, this guy was memeing before memes were a thing.
Yeah.
That's royalty. What do you think of that mustache with that eggplant earring?
Well, he's got the rose on his lapel too, right? Like the Rosicrucian rose. Is that what we're looking at?
Yes,
Right here on the right.
Yeah. Looks like it, yeah. So
It has an
rose and
eggplant
the
on it,
cross. He's got the rose and the cross and the lion mane and the owl. This guy's fully Illuminati. Look at it. This guy's as Illuminati as you can come, and he's eggplanting with a mustache. Like, this is the first royal meme of all time, I think.
He's got the crown of Semiramis as well. Diana. Interesting stuff, yeah.
I love it. Elkman, I think you had something up a little bit ago that were you waiting to share? Or
Yeah, I haven't done any research on this, but it was just interesting that Shem had brought up Indianapolis. Someone I follow here on YouTube shared this on Instagram or whatever, and I thought it was pretty dope. So I don't know too much about it or where it's from or anything. It's just
I can tell Shem wants to get a stash after this.
Yeah, he's making me miss the stash. But yeah, the eggplant earrings represent fertility, which also ties back into the goddess, because if anyone's ever seen the statue of the goddess with all those, like, boobs, I guess.
Yeah.
Fertility goddess.
Fertility gods.
So this is like a map. I was just sharing that 432 the drop shared this earlier this week, and it's a map of Indianapolis and the tribe of Ishmael migration patterns. But there's a lot of interesting stuff, like this area, Shem, like the reason I brought up was because it was like kind of like really close to where we were talking about with the Tartary location, and it's called
Sorry,
like,
how old is this map?
I don't know too much about it. Someone just shared it.
Okay.
Someone shared it last week, and I don't know much more than this.
Let's take a look. See, I like you.
But yeah, right here is like the Holy Mountain of Harmonics, and like it's got Mecca, Morocco, and Indianapolis is always this where everyone ends up. It's interesting, anyways. I don't know what the Holy Mountain of Harmonics.
Yeah, I was about to say, where's this Holy Mountain of Harmonics? Where would that
in
be?
Michigan.
Today?
So if you look it up on a map on Google Earth, I can't find a huge mountain, but I can find some interesting stuff in that area. That's for sure.
I'm guessing.
Like if you look up Morocco, it's right underneath there. There's like a huge park, Willows Fish and Wildlife Area, Iroquois County State Wildlife Area. Everything's like a wildlife area where that Holy Mountain of Harmonics is. So I don't know. I'm sure someone could enlighten me on this. I don't know. I just don't know much more than it, but
it's always a park or a freaking paid off area place, no doubt. That makes it more suspicious.
It looks like the in modern days, the closest big town to that Mountain of Harmonics would be Lake Village, Indiana.
And it says the formula for the Holy Mountain figure is supposedly contained in the odd dimensions of the so-called cube built by Abraham and Ishmael. So I don't know. This could be fiction or fantasy or something.
Okay.
Like I really don't know, guys. I don't want to like steer anyone wrong here, but like I just thought it was really, really interesting because it does sync up with what we've been talking about.
The cube built by Abraham and Ishmael is a reference to Islam, talking about Mecca. So it seems like this might be a map of someone's theory that Mecca was in the United States, because it looks like they have
Muhammad. Looks like it.
Muhammad.
Like there's Mecca down here, and I think that is actually a city there.
There's
Could
a
be.
Mecca. There's a Mecca in America. My.
There's probably like one in every state, honestly, because they name in every city or every state they have these cities named after these historical places over and over again.
But yeah, shout out to 432 The Drop for sharing this. I've been geeking out on it. It's pretty cool.
Trying to find any type of mountain in that area.
So it might most likely a modern day young Islamist dream of Mecca in America, and where he's going to broadcast. Maybe it's the CIA's goal of Harmonic Mountain. I wanted to show this one quickly. This was the other map I was talking about prior, Shem. The Celtic world 400 BCE. And Galatia, like, look at that huge area in modern day Turkey, crossing the Black Sea and going through the mountain areas of Eastern Europe to connect into all the way all of Ireland, Scotland, France, Spain.
Yeah, so this is basically what the Romans took from them.
Exactly.
Big up Caesar.
As soon as the Vatican took this, that's how they conquered the white population of the world, and then used it to restart the original Celtic, genocides and history, and then conquering and indoctrination and reprogramming the mind. And from there, they went to Asia, went to South America, and North America, and began all over again. But yeah, sorry, back to ElkMan's map.
So, and I just did a little bit of quick research on this. This is about the tribe of Ben Ishmael, founded by Ben and Jeannie Ishmael, a group of freed and escaped slaves, poor and white indentured servants, and Native Americans, originated in Noble County, Kentucky. Labor migrated to Indianapolis, Indiana, Cincinnati, Ohio. Basically, they were a tribe, apparently, and their history gets deleted in 1907.
Wow. I wonder why 1907.
It says right here. So I just read this like while you guys were talking. So no matter what the extent of their Islamic influence, there are historical references to the tribe of Ben Ishmael, even though it lacks a detailed documented history. Almost all historical references to this group disappear around the same time that forced sterilization laws went into effect in Indiana in 1907 for the degenerates of society. Jesus. Oscar Carlton McCullough wrote a pro-eugenic supporter pamphlet on the tribe, suggested that forcible sterilization and incarceration for their members.
Damn.
Yeah, that was an interesting little jaunt.
Eugenics in the United States.
Eugenics in Canada.
What do we got here?
Shit. Sorry about that. Just found this bad boy. The leper Tartaria, which lies in Europe, is so called to distinguish it from the Grand, which makes it part of Afua. It is Alpha. Oh God, what up? We got Lesser Tartaria in Europe.
Oh yeah, that's
I can't read
Crimea
it.
right there. That's Ukraine. That's just by Russia.
That's the war today. Right now. Why are we at war with Tartaria all over again? That's the question.
It's a never-ending war. Except now, instead of calling them barbarians, they call them like extremists and like homophobes and transphobes and stuff like that.
I was like, what the heck? Is this like a joke or something, as it calls the Tartars the no gays? Like, what? Well, this is so strange.
Okay.
The no gays Tartars. Interesting. All right. Well, I guess Putin has the same personality today. Fascinating.
It's a weird spelling of it. It's probably just a weird translation of it.
What do we make of this? What do we make of the 4 islands at the top? Oh. And is this why this is? No, that's South America still, I think. Or is that South? No, that's Africa. That's South America still connecting. And Australia was part of Antarctica. Why do all of these ancient maps depict this? And South America tip, just a canal between it and this giant Antarcticness that also connected to Australia.
I don't know, but a lot of historians before World War II said that the South was mostly warm and never turned into ice, which I thought was interesting. Like the same guys we were talking about earlier, Herodotus, all those bad boys.
Here's
The North, I've seen those videos of allegedly of the North where it goes into a hollow Earth type situation. There's like a
right. I know. I know that shit. Fascinating. We need to do an expedition. What's this? Lemuria over here in the middle of nowhere? Terra Australis. Right there, Terra Australis. Nova something. Benita. 1, 2, 3, 4, and they're green. And look at this, coming all the way up. Well, yeah, that's Australia, the northern. Like, there's just so many of these maps like this, and clearly, like, look, why would they make maps just of it?
I don't know, but it's weird how the original compasses, like the ones that the Chinese created, they actually pointed to the south instead of the north.
Yeah,
and
right.
A lot of the older maps.
We make our maps upside down or something. The north is south and south is north.
I'm just curious.
That did happen. That did happen at sometime. I believe.
Yeah, a lot of the maps used to start.
Oops. There we go. Mount Meru in the middle still. And the 4.
Kind of looks like a butthole.
Like, where would
So-
Devon Island be to that? Where we found those pyramids, Devon. So that's the entrance to Hudson Bay here. And look at this. There's a waterfall coming down of
It's
this
directly above
inland
that.
sea lake where they have where Hudson Bay now is.
It's where that forks are right there, I believe.
Sorry?
I think it's like where the like if you go
Yeah.
straight across from where you're at, where those 4 little rivers are coming out. I think that's where it is. I think the island's one of those.
Oh, right here. Oh, right here.
Yeah.
These guys or these guys?
No, I think it was the first one you had.
The
there.
islands here. Oh, these
Yeah.
guys right here.
I think so.
Yeah, no doubt, actually. Yeah, no doubt. Because if this is the area where Hudson Bay now is, yeah, it'd have to be up this way more. Did, like, Newfoundland lose some land here? Newfoundland actually lost land. That'd be funny. Look at these. It's so different. Polis Arctivist. And Friesland. There's the Friesland. Frieslandia is freaking fascinating. Have you guys heard of the Oralinda book or read the Oralinda book or any of the audiobooks on it?
Yep.
It's so freaking nuts. I need to make episodes on it. We need to do an Oralinda book series because it's just this in-depth, like pretty epic karmatically like law of a rule of law of like life of Frieslandia and these island people and society, and it's stated that it's the land of Frieslandia that it is the law of, and here is that island of Frieslandia, which is always shown on the ancient maps in between like Iceland and North America or Iceland and Europe or something.
I can't really tell what it is.
What do you make of that? Old telephone pole or satellite dish or something?
It could very easily be collecting energy. I mean, we know they had batteries back then, and people like Richard Feynman have done research into atmospheric energy that collect as you go up higher. It has a higher voltage, unless you have a human body that kind of goes around you.
Different. But like, kind of looks like a 5G tower today, right? Like 6G tower, like 1600s G tower. I just find that fascinating. Like, because why would you put such resources into that? Like, that's freaking high up and ballsy. Who you got building that?
People were crazy back then. They took passion. They had one job, and their family passed it down from generation to generation. So it was all about taking pride in what you do and living a life to your fullest, as opposed to just claiming to be a victim 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, like society we live in now.
Hey, don't insult snowflakes like that. Jeez. Just wanted to point out again, we got South America touching the land that is supposedly Antarctica slash what do they call it? Australis, Terra Australis. But this one, it's like they got river. Look at this giant inland lake, yeah, 2, 3 and giant inland lake, sea, river areas in what is now straight desert or on the edge of the Sahara, and look at all the water flowing out.
Do you have any idea what this map is called? I want to find this one in HD.
Africa something. Yeah, right? Need to get this bad boy in HD. Oceania. Is that it? Or I am not sure.
I didn't know if you could like the file when you downloaded it maybe said or something.
No, looking at the name of it right now, it's like A5808, something blah blah blah. And so sadly the name's not in there, but I've got it saved in my Pinterest, so I'll go back, find it, and try and get the name as well as the higher def image.
See if I can find it too.
Japan's looking a little bit different in this one.
Yeah, I mean it's got that kind of weird shape with the main island. I don't know if that is, but it looks scary.
Here's another one. Yet again, South America coming right up to the Antarctica. Megaliths. Oh, gosh darn it. Sorry. This one, look at Japan. Very, very different. Gotta find this one in high def now, too. Nova Titius Terrarum Orbis Geographica Hydrographica Tabola? My gods. Sorry. I like it though. Why do they all have this? And then it continues on as one landmass border up to the equator.
Weird.
Yeah, so this is that's all tropics, and it's going all the way up. So as one land. So this cannot be ice. It has to be land, as it's literally going to the equator, where it's shown. And
I wonder
here it
if
is
they're-
on the Australian side, going up there.
Yeah, I was gonna say I wonder if it's just thinking that Australia is massive, which who knows how big it actually is. It could be huge, but I don't know what year this is
All
from,
the
so it's
way
hard to
over
tell what
here,
they're
though, and
thinking.
on this side, it's giving a whole bunch of like settlements and cities and stuff, and starting to get filled in. That's very weird and strange. I need just teasing us with pixelated versions. Need the high def so we can read it.
I'm seeing if I can find it because I think that's the Magellan version of that or something based on the bottom. I don't know. It's hard to see.
Starlink could well have dual purpose like weather modification, but I think Starlink is mostly about giving people a way to pay for money for internet anywhere, as well as giving the army a way to communicate anywhere in the world without having to pay for it, and the rest of us suffering because of it eventually. According
I think I may have found it in HD.
I think you might have.
At the top, it's got some emperors.
Oh, that's badass.
Yeah, it's a good one.
But yeah, the only thing that's different is it doesn't have that. It does have the cities over here, but it didn't look exactly the same. But it could have just been the pixelation. I don't know if it was the pixelation or what.
Let me see. No. Look at this here. I'm just gonna don't get rid of yours, but just look right here. See, it is different. That is quite different.
Damn. But yeah, this one's still pretty cool though. Look, Africa has this. This is the type of
Heck
person
yeah,
that they
it is.
drew, and this is the type of person that they're drawing in South Florida. And those
In Africa,
the
apparently.
Debray engravings. You know, I'm talking about those Debray engravings where they showed like the ball
Yes,
giants.
yeah.
That's what that looks like to me. Giant armadillo in America. Where'd they go?
That's megafauna. That's supposed to be plus 12,000 years ago.
Havana. Is this talking about Cuba or Siberia? Wait, this is Havana down here.
What? Good point, Shem. Like, that's where you go to take off your clothes and lay on the beach. Why are they absolutely covered up?
Asia's looking pretty European as well. Look at all these cities in Nova Zembla. That's interesting.
Right?
Let's do the Troy check. See if Troy's here. Yep, it's right here. The lost city of Troy that they didn't know about until the 1970s or some shit.
Right? What about Pompeii?
I can't zoom in anymore, but it would be, I think, somewhere around here, but I don't see it.
Okay, no, but they got Troy on there. That's freaking amazing. And look right there. So zoom in on Africa a bit on this one. Look at all the freaking rivers on it. And once again, a couple of inland sea lake ones.
I can zoom in more. It just gets blurry.
Look at that. Something's called Libya right in the middle. Wow. So these maps are literally filled up with where they now admit and are showing these dried up ancient rivers, claiming they were at least 6,000 or 10,000 years ago. And yet we have them fully drawn out with civilizations throughout these areas on maps claiming to just be from 400 or 500 years ago. Good old Cum Island. That's where Atlantia. Oh, I guess Atlantia Island. But that's the original Jeffrey Epstein Cum Island.
I wonder what this dotted pattern is over here next to Terra Nova to the east of it. Looks weird. Yeah, but where it says Atlantia right here, it's kind of shaded in as if there's recently some, sunken stuff around it, some darkness. The indigenous of Greenland.
What?
Pretty cool guys. See what it says over here in the good old Tartaria region.
Yeah.
Tartaria.
This freaking map is epic.
It's weird how it doesn't seem to show Lake Baikal unless this is it right here, which this is pretty far south for being Lake Baikal.
Yeah.
Something big had to have happened.
Well, Lake Baikal is really weird. It's like the deepest lake, apparently. It has the most water.
Right? Look at there. Hold on. Zoom in right where we are. What's that floating city or island lake city there in the heart of Asia?
Lake city there.
Like the island city right there. Zoom in right in the heart of what
can you see my mouse?
Yeah, right there.
Where my mouse is?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's as far as I can zoom in.
What are those giant inland lake places like?
If anything, it could be the kingdom of Manzi that was reported by Marco Polo, where they talked about how they dug these huge canals in the city to basically like make it almost similar to what Mexico City was described as in the past, or like a Venice or something, where you had to use boats to get everywhere. But the thing that's weird about it is that if this to the northwest is Lake Baikal, then this could be anywhere on the map if this isn't accurate. because I don't know what.
But look at the other rivers it has connecting to them in the cities. But like that's ancient.
Mount Meru.
What do you say, Alchemist?
Mount Meru.
It looks the same as the North Pole.
Mount Meru, yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, Japan. For some reason, they don't have Hokkaido on here, but maybe it's on the other side. Let's check it out. Barely anything, if that is it. One interesting thing about the all these old maps is I've never seen the Diomedes Islands depicted on any of them.
No,
You know, the big Diomedes.
good point.
I always look for them, I never see them.
Nevada? We have a Nevada there.
Well, this is, let's see, I think 1652. So this is after, long after Columbus. Norumbega, the legendary city.
Are there, look at that though, are there actually Great Lakes there, or what is really going on? Like, because look at the Hudson, or the, right there, the Seaway.
Buttons Bay.
Doesn't look like they've made their way to the Great Lakes yet.
No, go down though, go down a little bit. Right there, this seaway where it says Canada, Nova Francia. And then follow that lake down. That's the freaking lake to the Great Lakes. And look what's there. That's not at all how it should be. And it should not. Like,
yeah, it's hard to tell exactly what the reason is for that, but it's, yeah, I mean, very strange. Especially when we have communications with the natives long before that.
Yeah.
Oh, it's weird how it says Tinduk right here on the far east part of Siberia.
And what does it say on the other side? And then Regenum, Bavaria, Regenum. What are all these little names of these little towns all along America there?
I don't know, but it's weird how on the coast you have Nevada. Sierra Nevada, but right here it says Nevada CA Parcellus. Who knows? Let's check out Cusco, Peru real quick and see if it's here.
Oh my God, look at South America at this time, and look at how inhabited it is, and drawn out and inhabited, and all the inland freaking waterways as well that have been fully mapped out and explored.
Well, the thing about this Amazon rainforest area is it looks so similar to the same type of buildings you find in Babylon and some of these other Arabian places where you have those, like the mystery religion's origins, like the Semiramis type pyramid buildings. The square with like these giant paths leading up to them, these organized cities. See if I can bring it up on Google Earth real quick too, just to show you what I'm talking about. But I don't know. I really do think there's a connection between these people because theoretically, the descendants of Semiramis and Ninus would have carried this to each civilization, since every civilization worshipped the god and the goddess. Like going forward, Dionysus, like, was very important to the Greeks and the Romans and even the Syrians, and then you move on from that and you have with the Egyptians you have like Horus and Isis. They're like all basically the same characters throughout history,
right? It's like, are they all just different, like localized interpretations of their original unified like religion or story of the prior civilization pre-cataclysm?
Well, part of me thinks that it's just them experimenting on which is the best way to control their livestock, where their livestock, so they basically, since humans are naturally lazy, they just created the same story for each people since they never thought we would communicate. But now we have like the internet and all that good stuff to communicate with, so now they have to change it. But back in like the 1800s, for example, what the common person couldn't really talk to these other people and see what was going on.
For sure.
But yeah, I brought up that. Oh.
Ooh.
This is what I was talking about with these. This is the area that we're talking about that was inhabited. Just look at these ruins.
Like, what? Look at how crazy that is. This is in the jungle of...
This is in a cleared out area of the Amazon. If it would zoom in. There we go.
Damn.
Shout out to Chuck from CF Apps.
Yeah.
These.
The geoglyphs.
That's not a good one. Well, it's still good, but it's not what I was talking about. Hold on. Come on. Yeah, these are all over this entire area that we're looking at right here. You see these types of structures, the ruins of them. Some of them have like pathways leading up to them. I thought I marked one that was better than this, but for some reason it's just not there. Circle cut off by road. No, I thought I had a better one of this. I guess I didn't mark it. Sorry about that. Yeah, here's another square right here next to it. So this is just like whatever happened with these places, they still show up. Has a name on it now.
And that we were like, I was taught in school 20 years ago that, oh, that was this, or sorry, 10 years ago in archaeology, anthropology. No, that would have been 15 years ago. That the entire area was never civilized by any civilization, never inhabited by any sort of civilization whatsoever. Blah, blah. And then it's like, yet now we're learning, actually, they're finding ruins in these exact spots where in these ancient maps, they depict civilization. And no, it wasn't just people being crazy or randomly filling it in. Everything had a freaking purpose. That's why the only reason you'd put resources, your time into anything is because there's a purpose behind it. Thus, it must have had something to it.
Well, now this place, you see this, how it says, I don't know if it shows up for you. It says Geoglypho Quadrado.
Yeah.
A couple months ago, this was not here. Now, when I type this in on Google, they've like actually documented these things now. Apparently, before when I was looking to this, there was nothing. There's really nothing about them. Oh, so that's really strange.
Documented geoglyphs. I swear, geoglyphology is going to change it all. It's too big to hide.
Excuse me, it's weird how they're calling them geoglyphs, because I think they're just ruins of something that we see similar with like the temple of the moon and sun, like the layout of those places. I wish I could find one of them right now. I might just have to open up Chuck's video.
Yeah, might as well.
But
shout
let me
out
show this.
Chuck. R.I.P. Chuck.
This might actually have it from just Jacobs, my brother.
Shout out to Shem's brother.
Wait, did that close? Nope, apparently not. About to bring up the this article. So yeah, it looks like they are documenting them. Now, this is when I searched this place before, it never came up, but this is from 2021 apparently. Really weird.
Heck
so yeah, this is kind of what I was talking about. You see up here in the top left corner, it's like an entire layout of different structures in the shape. So this,
like all the foundations of a former village and city.
Well, that's the other thing, is that when you look up the way that the Romans built their forts, apparently they had these 4 entrances just like this. And this thing at the top left, there's like dozens of these in this area.
Okay, do say more. Do go further into this. I hadn't heard of that part.
But yeah, like right here, you see that they're documenting them. That's amazing. There's tons of these. This is like a mound with a flat top, basically like a pyramid with a flat top or something. I wish that they had a side view of it or something in person. Oh, maybe this video. Check it out, see if it plays. Yeah, this is all brand new to me. Right.
Oh my gosh, it's a Spanish reptilian shapeshifter announcer.
Pretty low quality.
What are they saying in this video? It is like a lost, like some like.
It's in Portuguese.
Yeah.
So I can't. Basically, they're saying that they're just geoglyphs. So basically, like an earthwork, I guess.
Yeah.
But geoglyphs, I think, actually, like, technically go back to Faram's like term of it. I think, but maybe not. I'm gonna have to look into that, because if it's actually Faram's geoglyphology, then it's like boom, you're into the theory that automatically, if it's there, that it's stating that it can be like used to map and connect to other ones, and like it's part of like the Nazca society and stuff.
Okay, so this circle right here, this is the type of thing that in Ohio, for example, in Clintonville, which is north of Columbus, there were like 3 or 4 of these that were destroyed by housing developments like the Dominion Housing Company. And these are like Adena Mound Builder, Hopewell Indians building these types of similar structures. And I guess they would build the structures and then burn them down when they're done using them, and then bury some of their belongings around it. So I'm curious if if there's some kind of connection with there. In this square shape, I don't know the names of the ruins off the top of my head because I wasn't really prepared to present this, but in other places around the world, when you see these, specifically the ones with the flat tops you were talking about earlier, with kind of like this one at the left up here, and other places around the earth, they say they're ruins of like a pyramidal type structure or some sort of fort. So it's weird that they call them geoglyphs in this situation.
It's like they can't allow it to be civilization there, right? They're like, don't look into it. It's not a foundation to anything. It's just random freaking rocks that were set up by freaking nobody, sort of thing.
Well, here's that area that I was looking at earlier. You can see how much is that they highlighted here. This is all these are basically sites. There's just so many of them, like all these little dots, and then these rectangles. Which actually, this map is very helpful because now I can download this and mark the other ones.
Fascinating. Yeah, please send me this as well after you download it. That's freaking. This is dope.
So you can see there's at least, I would say, if I had to guess just by looking at the screen, I'd say there's at least 60 to 70 sites here in just this one small area that's been cleared out by the forest. And there are some that I've been looking at on Google Earth before, to where like part of that square is there and then it goes into the forest, so you can tell it continues into the woods. Go back real quick. It looked like there was a more HD video of it. We'll watch that real quick and see what happens. Yeah, I'm basically just pushing at this point to stay up all night, since I have to be at work in an hour and 20 minutes anyways. But I did take a nap earlier.
I just thought of that. Chet was like, "Oh my god, it's so late." I was like, "I'm guessing he's got to work in an hour. He's probably just trying to push through at this point." In that case, I'm gonna let you keep going for a minute. I'm gonna step out for a quick cigarette, and I will be right back. And we're gonna keep you awake this whole time because I've got a whole lot more that we can discuss too.
Cool. Where's the video? There we go. This one looks a little bit more HD. Let's hope it is. If it's not, then I'll stop it. Closed captions unavailable. What's he doing? We'll never know.
Yeah, those round ones is the same looking one as the Soulfold earthworks that I went to too. That was also a Dina mound built. They're everywhere.
But they're unconnected, right? No relation. It's just a coincidence. This one right here and right below the video, I think this one was the one that was multiple miles long, measured on Google Earth. Pretty insane. Yeah, I got a drone finally, so I need to get back out to some of these mounds and take some footage. I need to learn how to fly it first, obviously, too. This is that book you guys were talking about earlier, the Linda book.
Yeah.
It says it's a pseudo pig graphical hoax, a parody, or simply poetic fantasy. Say that about everything. I guess we can go into some more stuff about this, maybe. Okay, so we were talking about Marietta earlier. The same book, American Antiquities and Discoveries in the West, talks about how Marietta, Ohio, was basically like a Roman fort. And this is when I was talking about the entrances to the Roman forts. They mentioned that in this book as well. So at Marietta, a place not only celebrated as being the first settlement on the Ohio, but has also acquired much celebrity from the existence of those extensive and supposed fortifications which are situated near the town. They consist of walls and mounds of earth running in straight lines from 6 to 10 feet high and nearly 40 broad at their base. There is also at this place one fort of this description, which encloses nearly 50 acres of land. There are openings in this fortification which are supposed to have been, when thronged with its own busy multitude, used as gateways, with passage from one of them formed by two parallel walls of earth leading towards the river. Let's see if I can find the part where it connects it to the Romans. I can't remember which page it's on. Probably the next page though.
And that fort, that's still kind of like what they're describing in this book is still there, right? not
Yeah,
as it was then. That's the one we looked up, and it's still kind of like there as those dimensions.
It's either there or it's some sort of cover up for this, because the way they describe it in this book seems a little bit different to what is there today. Although the one that is there today, the northwestern one, I believe, is the one that's 50 acres. Let's see if I can bring it up actually. So either they just created something recently to kind of account for that, which seems like a lot of work to do, or it's still there. It looks way different than what they describe in this book is the only reason that I doubt it. Bring it up real quick though. And you'll see it looks like what we were just looking at in fucking South America too. The square with a line coming off of it.
Yeah.
So yeah, the one at the top left here is the 50 acre. Let's see if I can find a better picture of it. Yeah, apparently there's still a mound there too, which is pretty cool. All right, found this in the Library of Congress. Nice. I think this is the one that actually says it's 50 acres too. So this is from 1837.
Yeah.
Yeah, it says 52 acres. And look at these. This is like some sort of ziggurat. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like the same exact thing you would find in Babylon. This might be that mound that we were looking at a second ago in the pictures. I want to get down here. The weird thing about this too is there's a earthwork in France I was looking at recently that looked exactly like this depiction, like diagram A right here. I think it says A, or yeah, it says A, B, C, D. So A, top one right here, that's 132, 152. I was looking at a mound in France that looked exactly like this. It's just everywhere.
Yeah, in France.
I think I could probably bring that up real quick, actually. Let's see. I had it saved the other day. I think hopefully it's this one, the Saint Michel Tumulus. I have like 8 of them saved, so it might not be this one. Yeah, cool. So this is a giant burial mound in France with like a pyramid type structure on the top of it, called the Saint Michel Tumulus. And check out this diagram right here. Looks very similar to what we were just looking at with something in Marietta, Ohio. Right now, I guess that back then it had a church on top of it. Still has a church on top of it, it looks like. You can see there's an entryway to get underground right there. Let's go back to this Marietta thing and compare it. Maybe I'm just crazy. Very similar shape. It's not some mind-blowing, crazy shape, but
yeah.
And it's like that probably what was just like dug out and then reconstructed on it.
I think this is just giving like a, because you saw the entrance to get to the underground. I think this is like, there's still dirt here, but they're showing that underneath that inside of the hill, this is what was inside of it, right? Not necessarily that this is cut out of it. because you see this. I'm going to go back to the other screen real quick. You see
Gotcha.
there's a door. There's a door right there to get underground. So I think there's just an underground area for the tomb or whatever.
Okay, I see. I gotcha.
So a similar situation with these hills here. Like it's just showing what's inside, maybe. But yeah, this is a looks like a ziggurat. Let's see. Let's pull up a picture of a ziggurat and see real quick.
Right, like as ziggy as you can get, really. There's lots of Sumerian texts or tablets claimed to be found throughout the Americas. We've done several episodes on, and well, how surprising that there's now ziggurats above them.
Ziggurat in Marietta, Ohio. I wonder if it's still there.
Say what? Marietta, Ohio.
Yeah, that's what we were just looking at right here. This Ohio. We're reading from a book a minute ago.
Boom.
Mitch says
Right
that these are it says these are ruins that are Roman ruins in Marietta, Ohio.
Roman. The Romans came in and conquered the Sumerians and took their ziggurats.
Well, it's more likely that just it's more likely that the people who were in control of these civilizations just moved from people to people over time and took their religious practices and their habits with them and their style of architecture and just influenced the people to behave in certain ways. So the same people who were instructing the Sumerians to build these things were later on instructing the Romans to do similar things. Why they carried the gods over and all these traditions throughout history, even to this day. Same type of stuff's going on. Let's see here. Trying to find the quote about the Romans. Okay, so let's see if this is. I'm just going to read it. Go for it. But respecting this fort, we imagine that even Romans may have built it. However strange this may appear, the reader will be so kind as to have patience till we have advanced all our reasons for the strange conjecture before it can cast it from him as impossible. Our reasons for this idea arise out of the great similarity there is between its form and fortifications or camps built by the ancient Romans. And in order to show the similarity, we have quoted the account of the forms of Roman camps from Josephus' description of their military works. So he's talking about the antiquities of the Jews here. I thought they gave some details though. Maybe I'm just getting the books mixed up at this point. No, here we go.
I don't think you are.
Well, either way, thank you for being with us at 3 a.m, good Shem, sir. 1 hour to go, and Shen Jacobs has to go to work. So that's the love, the passion, the commitment of Tartarian Truth, getting history out with us here.
No, it's just never really get to talk about this stuff, so get the chance to do it, might as well take it. I mean, I can always sleep at other points in time. Like I said, I took a nap earlier, so I'll be okay. Okay, so this is describing the Roman camps. Their camps are also 4 square by measures. As for what space is within the camp is set apart for tents, but the outward circumference hath the resemblance to a wall, and is adorned with towers at equal distances, where between the towers stand the engines for throwing arrows and darts, and for slinging stones, and where they lay all other engines that can annoy the enemy, all ready for their operations. All right, so this is the part I was talking about earlier. They also erect 4 gates, one in the middle of each side of the circumference or square, and those large enough for the entrance of beast and wide enough for the making excursions if the occasion should. So just like earlier when we were looking at the same square type structures in South America and the Amazon, they had the same type of layout with these
square shapes with 4 entrances. Like these entrances have obviously been changed over time. Because you can see here that there's one.
Mount
I don't know what.
Ziggurat.
Yeah, those seem to have 4 as well, but here it looks like I can't tell what this is on the ground. Like, is this a mound right here?
Oh,
I don't know.
they have to have those for the astrological alignments there for the equinoxes and the solstices. That's part of the purpose of their building is astral archaeology within it. The function of
So, probably is because they did base a lot of their decisions on the stuff. Like every time a king was going to invade someone or do anything important, they would call the astrologers to basically look at the stars and say what's going to happen, how the battle's going to turn out. Or they would go to the oracles of each individual place. Delphi is the most popular one, but there were multiple oracles back then. I'm going to bring up Marietta on the Google Earth real quick just so we can see what it looks like today. I forget.
Astrology is truly a fascinating thing. And like when you actually plug in your own numbers to like every time I have, it's come up with something that's just bang on. Like I'm a black bear. Apparently as my astrological spirit animal, and then like the description of it was like me to a T. That was pretty funny. When I was out in BC with my buddy Amber, a couple friends, he just randomly like picked out this astrology thing and like read it off, and it was like just ridiculous to the point how accurate it was that everyone in the room that knew me quite well obviously was like all laughing hysterically. And like then it was like Amber's and his, and got both of them quite well, and it was ridiculously accurate. And then the time I've entered my same info into this random giant astrological birthday book thing that my mom had and read it off, it was like also me to like just a ridiculous T, and like right at, and it was like so accurate to what was even going on in my life at that time, that like each interpretation that I've like been exposed to of them sort of thing was at applying to my life circumstances at those times. It's pretty crazy how accurate it's been, my own experiences with it. So I suggest people try it for themselves, but you got to get the good ones, not the ones where people are trying to charge you money for it, because obviously that's just some fake ass shit scam. The occultic books and the new age translation ones of them, the reprints or whatever, there's a couple out there. I'm rambling on now. Anywho,
it is weird how they charge people for that stuff. I mean, I agree it's kind of accurate, but I don't know how much it is just generalization or something, I guess.
Yeah, I should be more discretion on that. There's a lot of fakery out there, but there's a couple like legit ones that when you get it and experience it, it's just like, holy fuck, how did this happen? Like, it was so funny. My friend, after he had like read off mine, Amber's, and his own, like, and animals, and then like all the characteristics of them and how they act in life and stuff, and like it was just like I looked at him like, oh my god, how long did you take to like write that? And he's like, starts laughing. He's like, are you kidding me? He shows me. He's like, it's this freaking app right here. And it was like completely random. Just like, how the fuck did like the man, it was funny times. But yeah, I only gave a half story there because the other animals are theirs to share. But I do have something else. Oh, Shem, you got this to share first. Kaboom.
Yeah, this is just what we were looking at a second ago, the air of Marietta, Ohio today. So here's the rivers we were just looking at. And that bigger one was supposed to connect directly to the river. But if you remember the map from the 1800s we were just looking at, the mound was to the south of one of those square structures. So it should have been, this would be the mound, and then there should have been something like right here. You probably can't even see my mouse.
Or up left, top center-ish, like on the...
If you zoom out, I saw something too. It looks like a circular
where the forest
walkway
currently is.
Or something.
Would the other one be where that forest still is, or no? Oh, right.
So this one, there should be one right here. Then this is the mound. There should be a pathway leading to a fortified structure, and then up here, where it says Quandar, this should be the other one, like around this area, and it should be connected to the water directly. So right here can you even see my mouse?
Yeah, we can see it.
Oh, you can. So where I'm circling right now should be the bigger one, somewhere around here.
It said native mound on a blue bubble when you were hovering over it there.
Yeah, there's a tiny mound here, but fortunately they destroyed the fort or whatever it used to be.
It ain't what it used to be.
Lost history. I guess the best thing to do would be go down here. There's this channel that some like guy and his wife that just go to like restaurants in Ohio or something. They went to Marietta. I watched it.
Oh,
they accidentally put some crazy
big
stuff.
mound in the background?
We'll check that out too.
Oh yeah, you can see a little bit of a mound in that park.
The one in German Village is bigger than this.
Definitely need LiDAR of these parks to see what's actually under there.
Where was that bigger one we just saw in the background?
I thought that was Marriott.
Right? Like that looked like a step pyramid.
I think that is the biggest pyramid in...
Yeah, look great. Is it that bad boy right there? Could be. So that's the step pyramid that they now got people living on. Who knows? Okay, let's find out.
What the? I was about to say we can't see it.
All right, let's walk the hood. Let's walk this block. Don't get shot, Shem. Shit, don't trespass here.
Usually it doesn't let me do it. Let's see if it does. Nice. Yeah, I was looking for a mound in South Columbus the other day, and it ended up being like a homeless camp down there. It's kind of... I was by myself, so it's kind of weird because it's in...
Good news is, if it's a homeless camp, it's probably going to catch fire at some point, and then you'll get a lot clearer view of the overall site in some point in the future. Just kidding.
Look at that. There's like a goat or something there. Yeah, you can't really see this, unfortunately.
Is that like a sheep target or something?
I don't know what that was. I thought it was a dog at first.
Goat.
Right by Darlene Ceramics. If anyone lives in the area, you can check it out. But yeah, it looks like they definitely destroyed it.
And does that not look like a giant step pyramid there? Like that they're not letting us really take a look at, but it seems
it is confirmed though that there is a pyramid here, right? Like this is the place in Ohio where there is a massive pyramid.
I don't know. I don't remember. I don't think so. I think the big pyramid in Ohio that I know about is a little bit west of Buckeye Lake. It's like one of the largest pyramidal mounds in North America, if not the largest, but it's been destroyed and it's on private property now. I was gonna go down there, and then my buddy sent me some messages from one of the YouTube videos that said the guy does call the police or something if people go there, so I didn't go. Probably still gonna go eventually, but I just didn't feel like going right after I heard that. I think that this, where it says East Sacra Via Park, this long line right here connected to the water. I think that's the original pathway, and potentially this entire neighborhood block from 3rd Street back to like 8th Street back here, maybe could have possibly been that entire structure.
The original fort.
Yeah, but
Miamisburg Mound.
Yeah, the Miamisburg Mound. That mound is huge. That thing is. I want to go there so badly. I was planning on going there when I got my car back, but unfortunately, that car broke down. So,
Is that the same thing as Salingstone Mound?
Salingstone Mound? I don't know. Never heard that name.
Probably not. There's probably too many mounds. There's so many mounds. Not too many. It's great. The more the merrier. But it sucks how many have been destroyed. So we got to find more. But here's yet another map. And here we have Terra Australis specifically drawn out, and Terra Australia, and connected all the way to the Antarctica, South Pole, and once again South America coming down. And it's like in this freaking as Dutch calls them, these Starfort triangle angle steezes that it's happening. And then you got an identical one on the exact opposite side style. Quite interesting. And then going up pretty much perpendicular, you got the other triangle angle, the Nubian pyramid angle, no doubt. Giza, Nubian angles.
You talking about the land formation?
Yeah. You'll see repeating patterns of it. Let's see. On next map, we have. Oh, this was the dope African one, or another good African one. Look at all of these inland rivers and seas, and that these feed out west. Boom. And that could be the eye of the Sahara right there, potentially, this freaking island city and a lake. But I think it was actually more up here. But that could also potentially be the one that Jimmy at Bright Insight sees. Not sure what that's about. Here we got some more North Pole, Mount Meru. How do you do?
Yeah, if I wasn't colorblind, I'd totally get my pilot license and fly up there, but I gotta find a country that allows colorblind people to fly. America doesn't.
Shit. We'll protest Trudeau, I'm sure. Well, no, we'll get Facebook to protest Trudeau, and then I'm sure they'll make it happen. Look at this. What the hell is the scale of the terraforming? Like, this is a bigger project on this piece of paper that says de France than what you have going on in Dubai right now. Like, look at the level of terraforming.
There are no strangers to it. That star fort called Rommel is interesting.
Each one of these are different towns that were in apparently France. I
think so.
Fascinating.
That's hard to tell.
The chakras of Earth, apparently. Mount Shastya? I don't know.
Mount Kailas in Tibet.
Cool. Yeah. Oh, we got that Australia spot, apparently. Look at this frickin' thing. $15.12, $15.49, $15.95.
Looks like one says 13.12 too.
Yeah, $12.54, $12.54. $13.65 apparently. How the fuck could they be terraforming on that scale?
Canada allows colorblind pilots. Nice. Maybe I should become Canadian. You guys offered to me earlier.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Darn tootin'.
We can exchange.
Turomania.
I can't even read it. It's just so blurry for me. I don't know why. It's like extra blurry.
Great Turkey. I don't know. Yeah, well, that was pretty blurry. Here's another one of the same map or Africa style maps with all of the rivers and lakes, inner lakes and shit. These, that's nuts. Different types of terraforming. Like, how are they even like getting all of these aerial to match? I don't know. It's nuts. How would they have the perception of drawing these on the scale?
Hot air balloons, bro.
From a apparently, I thought those were invented in the 1700s.
No, there's some accounts that say they go back further. I can't remember what year it is though.
I know. There's like
say that
stories of them everywhere. I'm just talking Wikipedia shit. Like, look at this. Look at all the canals that go through each one of those waterways.
Didn't Da Vinci have some kind of way to? He did a crazy map way back in the day.
Canals all throughout Cal. I believe so. Da Vinci had many.
Yeah,
too many things. What the heck is this? The ancient waterways. Look, it's the same sort of rivers that were going out that way. Weird. Oh, wow. This is still all land. Oh, no, I guess that's Asia. Never mind. They just drew that wrong. I see. I see what's going on. America.
Someone said they used hang glider.
Canada. Nova. Peru, Brazil, Portugal, Chile. Fascinating. A ley line one with Australia. Yeah, look, it's still right there, and Australia still being a part of it, I guess. Again, Africa with all these inner lakes and rivers. Look at this. All going, from the Nile. Oh, this goes there. It's like halfway into the Sahara. Half. Look at this guy. Huh.
It's hard for me to tell what's going on with it. Just, I don't know. It just looks super blurry for me. I don't know. So I'm not saying anything about it. I'm sorry. I don't know if you can see it better than us or something.
I might be able to. That might be what it is. Sorry about that. Here we got another one with Terra Australis right there with Antarctica all as one. And the 4 islands in the north. Oh, actually.
How old? Hey, can you go back to that one that had America on it? I just wonder how old it is because it had the all of Canada and America mapped out, not just
This
one
one?
side of it.
Yeah, no doubt. This guy right here. I was trying to see an age on it, but
does it say New India on it?
Pretty blurry.
Where Canada is?
Yeah, I guess the only way you could do it is be image search.
Mexicana. Yeah. Orbis, Terravum, Typus, Integro, Mevistus, and Locus, and Amendavantis. I like no more the freaking date on this shit.
Send you with the
Once
dates.
again, look, there's no Hudson Bay, but there's this inner big thingy, and there's no Great Lakes. And here again is this V thing, this freaking, or the Giza style one, the Starport style angle.
Blurred out because it says there that
what is this guy right
there? Canada says it's New India.
Canada, what do you say, ElkMan?
So I got this map in front of me, the same one that he had, and where Canada is in the full map, it says America, India, Nova, and there is New France. Yeah, Nova France is on here too, but like
There's another one.
Anything that's not New France, it says is India Nova, which is New India.
What year is that from?
Look, no islands, none of the islands chains from like you mentioned earlier, Shem. And this is that same Dutch Sense Starfort angle right there on that one, like he says. Once again, we got the 4 islands up top. Here's that same angle again. And then we got some 90-degree 45ers going there. And that's how you transit up north. Kaboom. And once again, no Hudson Bay. Instead, just this inner lake area going up angle. Like, look at this. This is different. Francia, Shalaga up in here. Here's Shalaga. So you have Shalaga, but you don't have any Great Lakes. You just have this guy. Is maybe that a great? No. Shalaga's here. That should be. And Mexicana.
I think I found the map that you brought up, ElkMan, as a digital version.
It's
Is it the Mercator 1630?
mine says it's 50. It is, but it's 1587.
The map first appeared in 1595. Oh, wait, it says the general outline on the map was taken from
Roman Recruiter's World Map of 1587. So the one I'm looking at is just a reprint of that one, I guess.
Oh, look at this. We have an Arabic sourced one. South America connecting to Terra Australis landmass Antarcticus as well. Boom, baby. Look at that. Looky, looky. And the 4 northern islands as well.
The depiction of... Oh, wait, never mind that. Okay, I see what's going on. I was about to say the depiction of America is weird. Do they have any towns? What, I wish we knew what year this was or anything. Is it on the tip of Brazil? Is there any?
Read Arabic?
Well, there's a legend of that of Mansa Abubakar II coming over from the Mali Empire to South America, landing in like northern Brazil, and basically starting like some sort of civilization over there at
Colony?
some point. I don't know what. Well, he never came back, and they never, I guess, communicated back with the empire anymore. So they just lived there forever.
Or northern islands up there.
Someone on Twitch said Earth is flat and stationary.
Whatever it is, there's some islands or some lands that they don't let us go to somewhere, and it's at the north and the south supposedly. So, well, whatever's up there, we need to go find. Because even the Arabics knew, supposedly, apparently. Oh, sorry, Shem. There you go. Bing.
Oh, this map. Oh, yeah, this is... I said earlier that book didn't have anything about Western United States in it. This is the new and elegant general atlas containing maps of each of the United States. Kind of want to get your guys' opinion on this to see what you think, why it's called that. But before that, I was just showing that this is the western part of the United States, because earlier I said it wasn't in there, but it is. So you can see New Albion, Mexico, Louisiana. The Great Lakes are here, and this is from 1817.
New Wales.
Yeah, up by Alaska, it says something about the Prince of Wales too. Okay, so
that's still a plate. Yeah,
it's called that now. I have no idea.
Yeah, there's a bunch of islands up, like in northern Canada, that all princes own, and it's their names and shit. It's near where all the other sus shit is, but I think there's Prince of Wales Island and all this stuff. Yeah, I'll find it and bring it up. There's a ton of them around there.
So this is called the General Atlas of Maps containing each of the United States. So keyword each of the United States. So it's a book.
Yeah, this is awesome.
Right.
So what do you think about this? Because when you go and you read the contents, it says it's for each of the United States. You have Europe, you have England, Wales, Ireland, Germany, Italy, Turkey, Tartary, Persia, Ohio, Delaware, United States, the Canada, South America, Egypt.
We got some real history starting to come up here, documented.
So I wonder why it's called each of the United States. Is this like a united one world government? Are they admitting to it?
It's draft, whatever it is, but all of these entities existed at that time, and they all agreed to whatever the draft or what the agreement was. They're all united in it. The treaty.
Well, they're all united by bloodlines.
Well, it's just interesting because this is before the Civil War, which
Artery.
basically took the individual states being almost like part of like a federation, like basically the Confederates, I guess. You know, just each state was like a country basically. So you see things like Ohio is on the same level as China because this is in 1817.
Well, yeah, it's showing that each of these countries or each state was existing as like independent little countries prior to when they were officially even established, and they were partaking on the world stage just like the UN, and existed a long, long time before we're told they ever did. And that seems to be the case with a whole shitload of countries around the world. And it existed at the exact same time as Tartaria, apparently.
Yeah, but apparently Tartaria was just a name that they lazily used. Cassatia Horda. Interesting.
Siberia at that time, yeah, called. And Arabia, India, and Siberia, all part of one. Oh, so is this geographic section though, or is that territorial groups that it's colored as? Like,
well, that's what's. It's probably colored by who owns. I'm colorblind, so I can't tell exactly what the borders are, but I think it's probably saying who owns what. But what's interesting about that is I didn't see any mention of. Let's double check real quick, but I didn't see any mention of Japan on here, which would be called Nippon.
Yeah, I think it was colored by regions, not by ownership. And I guess it's that all of these, this could have been like a UN map of the time, essentially. That's what
they might not have been united with them either.
Well, because
you have to think about the history.
Territories.
You have to think about the history of Japan, though. They say that the emperors have ruled for like thousands of years. It's been the same dynasty forever. There's no mention of it at all here whatsoever. As I'm looking up through here, you don't see Japan, you don't see Nippon, you don't see Java, you don't see any of the names given to it in history. So that means
in modern times, yeah,
it had to be a part of one of these other things like Asia or China or Tartary. Turkey and Asia. Interesting. Actually, let's check out Asia real quick and just see.
So if you're saying that like a connection between like the Turkish and the Japanese would make sense if the Ottomans were like seafaring and Turkic and had like the Tartarian Turkic from along essentially the Silk Road all the way into Asia and the eastern coast there of the Pacific, that if they broke off or if they're trading around the world by boat, that essentially if it'd be easier to take an island nation and rule from an island nation if you're a seafaring trading control after you've lost the inland original Silk Road that used to exist and now has turned to barren waste deserts, non-existent life, that the last remnants would be on the sea after the interior had been wiped out, sort of thing, and re-inhabited by other people and taken over by other forces. Where they
sorry,
still sorry.
I think I understand what you're saying. Are you saying that Japan was like a last holdout or something of the
last colony of like the of like the Ottoman Tartarian Asiatic side?
It's possible, but I don't know. I've never thought about that before. It's an interesting speculation, at least.
Yeah, here's a study. Speculation, of course. Like, fuck.
Just to make the connection, kind of more of what you're saying is that there's this a study connecting these trans-Eurasian languages that's being done right now. The Japanese, Korean, Tungusic, Mongolic, and Turkic languages all comes from the same source. And if you look at, go even deeper into that, you can find out that the Phoenician language is responsible for the text of, they at least admit, for the Mongolic and Turkic languages, which obviously if they're all connected to these languages, then it applies to these as well, but it's just hard to find information about it. And then real quick, I think this is the map you were looking at earlier in that book, ElkMan, is that right?
Yeah.
Where does
Yes,
it say
sir,
New
that's-
India at?
It doesn't say it on that one, dude.
Where was it supposed to be at?
Hold on,
There's a
bring it
Mount
up.
Maru in that bad boy.
I do.
baby,
I'll bring it
bro.
up right in a second. But I do have a map with Japan on it from 1596. But
Ooh.
The shape of South America is also interesting in this one. It's like a little chicken nugget.
India.
Nice. He's holding up the same one.
American
So mine's in a
Indian
book, so
Nova.
like,
Yeah, I believe that it's so it's supposed to be over here.
is that a
Unknown.
disclaimer of why they took out India Nova or something, or is this
This
a
is
newer?
fascinating. The middle part's what's so fascinating there. Like the 3 islands, and like they have this water lake thing that you cut down into there that you can clearly sail to, but no Hudson Bay Sea. Like,
Well, Hudson Bay would be that huge thing, would it not?
yeah, I know that's what it's turned into, but in these maps it's depicted as separate from the ocean, and like that there's a waterfall down and a small tributary before it gets to the ocean that then has those 4 islands there.
Yeah, this is really weird. It says something about Christopher Columbus coming in 1492 in the area on the other map where it says Nova India. Hispaniola Nomenclature. I don't know what any of this means besides, yeah, nothing. It says, I think it says he landed something about Haiti. I don't know.
Mine says America, Sive, India, Nova, Anno D 1492, Cristoforio, Columbio, Nominee Regis. I don't know. Premium Detect. I'm not sure. And Canada is just like a castle on this map.
One more search for Japan on here, and then probably gonna get off here so I can start getting ready for work.
You got to get ready for work, good sir. Bless you, Shem. Tartarian Truth. When you're done, and I guess probably have a nap, or it's 7 p.m. Eastern, I believe. Yes, no, 9 p.m. Eastern. 9 p.m. Eastern, with Thomas tonight, if you're available and awake. Good sir, most welcome back, ElkMan as well.
Appreciate it. Yeah, I'll probably try and join in. I don't know what time I'll be done. I got like 3 places, so we'll see. And I'll probably want to take a nap or something after I do 2 of them. I don't know, depending on how long they take.
Respect
okay, so
that.
the best thing I can find for Japan is this Sakhalin Island, which is the island I was talking about earlier. This pretty much goes from like Siberia, Russia, down to, it's pretty close to Hokkaido, Japan, northern Japan. There's like I can't remember how many miles it is of ocean in between it. But yeah, this is where the Nivek or the Nunavik and Ainu people mostly live. And Ainu are also in northern Hokkaido, but they're basically just like an Inuit indigenous peoples of that area. And it says something, I can't remember which book it was in, but I read about some kind of alliance between the people that lived on this island and the Tartars at some point, and the Mongols during the time of Kublai Khan or something sent over troops to help them fight against the Ainu people, the Nivek, or I should probably look up what they're actually called. I think they're called Nunavik. Sorry, I should probably know this stuff, but I look into too much random stuff.
Hey, it's 3:30 in the morning for you, brother. It's all good.
Yeah, Sakhalin. Okay, the people there called the Nivsk, NIVKHS. So they apparently had an alliance with the Tartars, the Mongolians, the Yuan dynasty in history against the Ainu people, which were like that European type of people we were looking at earlier. Because the Nivs, they look more dark skinned, I guess. I guess we could call it that. I'll bring them up real quick. So, classic Inuits. Guy in the middle kind of looks like a about to become the Messiah or something. Top middle. All right, well, yeah, I'm gonna get off here so I can get ready for work. Appreciate you having me, ElkMan. Good to talk to you. Hope you guys have a good night. Peace out, chat.
Well, brother. Much love, my friend. Thanks for joining with us, Shem. Bless your soul, good sir. And sharing Shem Jacobs' channel right now for everybody to see. ElkMan, you still sticking around for a little bit?
I think I'm gonna peace out too, man.
Yeah, peace too, for sure. It is that time. Right here, just promo Shem's channel, and I was trying to look up yours, but you got the link for it? Can you post it? Can you show? Do you want to show your channel, good sir? And much love, Shem. Here we go, Shem's channel. One more time, go subscribe, everybody. I'm so sad because I realized like halfway through this stream that I had forgotten to clear up space in the Streamyard like recording area. So sadly, this stream didn't get saved where I can do shorts of it and stuff, which really pisses me off. But we will be doing more, and we'll be back again tomorrow for another stream. And now I'm going to spend another couple hours making shorts of other videos so I can delete them so that tomorrow's will be saved and do this all over again. Thank you, ElkMan, for joining in. And there is your channel up on screen. And can I share this as well? Let's show your channel, good sir. Thank you, Ryan.
Yeah, I share most of my shit on Instagram under the same name.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
You said you'll be free again probably same day next week. You can be back. We should plan for this again.
Yeah, that'd be sweet, man.
Thursday night. Sounds good. Okay, brother. Happy weekend, and thank you for joining, my man, and Shem, and everybody else. And we'll see you all tomorrow night. Ta-ta. Oh. There we go. Gotta switch that. Then I can press the button.